You're watching Homeworthy, and today we're celebrating Halloween in all its haunting glory. From Napa Valley to New York City, these homes have been transformed into spellbinding works of art, filled with pumpkins, potions, and a touch of pure magic. Step inside as we visit moody brownstones, whimsical cottages, and creative retreats, each one brimming with imagination, charm, and just the right amount of mischief. It's spooky, it's stylish, and it's everything we love about Halloween. Welcome to Homeworthy's Halloween Spectacular, where every home tells a story, and this time of year, the stories just happen to be a little bit more bewitching. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Today we're in Napa Valley, California, where content creator Lauren Nicholson has conjured something truly extraordinary. A home transformed for Halloween with wit, style, and a touch of dark whimsy. Inspired by a dead man's dinner party, skeletons gather for a feast among twisted branches and flickering candlelight. In the kitchen, witch hats float above a cauldron of curiosities, spell books, potions, and the perfect dose of mischief. It's dramatic, playful, and beautifully imagined, proof that Halloween can be just as elegant as it is eerie. To watch Lauren's full episode ad-free, scan the QR code or click join below.
Hi Homeworthy and happy Halloween. I'm Lauren. Welcome to my home in California. Come check it out.
This fall, Homeworthy is all about the season's magic. We're stepping inside homes transformed by autumn's colors, where pumpkins aren't just decorations, they're statements.
We went to the auction in Pennsylvania and brought 4,000 pumpkins back, and I have them all on my stoop, and the neighbor's stoop, and the other's neighbor's stoop, and the other neighbor's stoop, and my backyard.
Where shadows and candlelight mingle to create a hint of spookiness, and every corner tells a story.
And so the theme of this was friends are coming over for a nice dinner. It clearly turned into a bit of a bloodbath. We have some candles and some transitional pieces throughout. There's like teeth and guts.
From extraordinary Halloween displays to cozy gatherings at home, we'll explore spaces that feel both enchanting and inviting.
For the Tablescape today, I really wanted to capture all these deep sort of jewel tones for fall. These gorgeous reds and deep purples. They really are rich and inviting.
Plus, in the kitchen, we're celebrating the flavors of the season with dishes that bring warmth, comfort, and a touch of whimsy to the table.
Remember that fall isn't just about the foliage changing, but it's about the mood changing even in the house. And that has to do even with what you're cooking, right? So today we're going to make a really moist, fabulous apple cake.
So light the candles and enjoy our autumnal series, because nothing says home like a little spook and a lot of heart. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi there, my name is Lauren Nicholson. I am a content creator over on YouTube where I love to share all things homemaking, so cooking, cleaning, decorating, DIYs, and welcome to my home here in the beautiful Napa Valley, California. So when I was a little kid, my parents were not big decorators, and so I loved going to school during the season changes. Really started in that, back to school, into those autumnal months, and then we would come into the classroom and the teacher would have transformed everything into witches and ghosts, and we would do all these ghost crafts. And I would come home and we had this big giant window in our home where we grew up, and I would put all of them taped up on the window so all the town could walk by and see my beautiful art. And then as I grew older, it would kind of spill throughout the house, and my mom was such a champion of my creative outlets, I'll call them. And so she just had a ball with it, would always make sure I had crafts around. And when I became a mother and a wife, I think is really when I started to want to create these really memorable experiences for our kids. And not only in the sense of like that they're memorable, but like these are things when my kids are older that they are going to potentially do for their kids. And so the love of it has kind of morphed into something that I really resonated with as a child that now our children look forward to. And there's just some type of magic. You know, my husband and I also do really fun stuff for St. Patrick's Day because it's such a mischievous season because it's oftentimes overlooked. So I feel like no season is safe. No holiday is safe with us. We are always kind of going above and beyond, but the root of it always goes back to some of those core childhood memories of just the excitement of coming into a classroom and seeing its transformation. Every holiday, I do something different. So no Halloween or Christmas will ever look the same. And so for this Halloween, I always like to start with a theme. And I was on a hike the other day, and the song It's a Dead Man's Party came on, and I thought, oh my gosh, how fun would it be to do like a very beautiful dinner party where everyone dies. So I got the green light from the kids that I could go a little bit more scary this year as I've tapered it over the years. My youngest is 9, eldest is 14. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do this dead man's party. So I thought for the front of the property or the house, we would do kind of like a big dinner scene, and then we kind of move into the living room, which isn't too over the top because we do still have to live here. And then in the bathroom, I also did a very fun little bathroom scene, which y'all will see. And then I wanted to do a witch's den. So kind of like at the end of the day, when the witch is done doing her spells, where is she hanging out? What is she doing? Where is she going to put her broom? Is she going to have friends over? So I kind of split the themes up a little bit so that the whole house couldn't obviously be a party. It'd just be cheese plates and skeletons everywhere. So I kind of split the spaces up, and you'll see throughout the house that the rooms are kind of separated enough where you could actually do many different themes. So those were the two I went with. And so I take it from a very high level of like, okay, it's a dead man's party. It's a Great Gatsby gone wrong, if you will. And then I take it all the way from like, what are the main parts? And then I whittle it down to like the maggots coming out of the wood that's coming out of the foot that they've been served, and these like deranged waitresses and butlers, and like I start to kind of piece it together in my mind and then gather the pieces, and it will be an all-day experience to kind of just put it all together. And I tinker with it over the weeks until Halloween comes up, but it always starts with a theme for me. So here we are in the great room. This was actually the part of the house I was most excited to do a Halloween decorating transformation. So like I said, I was listening to some music and the idea of a dead man's party came up. And so that's kind of the inspiration of this particular vignette here. While I had already done the front porch, I had collected all of these fallen down logs in the woods up above our house, and I found 2 pieces of wood that really made me feel like it was going to be the centerpiece of this deadly dinner party. So I have these giant oak pieces of wood that had fallen off. They have natural, beautiful moss throughout them. And I thought, oh, I could put worms and maggots and spooky things throughout. And then I also found a much larger one I wanted to put at the mantle here as well. And so the theme of this was friends are coming over for a nice dinner. It clearly turned into a bit of a bloodbath. We have some candles and some transitional pieces throughout. There's like teeth and guts. And one of the things I love to do when I'm decorating is take what could be just putting decorations up, going more macro, and then just layering and layering and layering on the detail that makes it so interesting to sit down and look at like, oh my God, is that a tooth? Like, is that a worm? Is that a maggot? And then when we were all done, I added just some webs on here to give that effect that these folks have been sitting here for a while, right? To get these kind of webs that didn't just happen the night of. So I had that kind of become the base. I added some bloody stickers throughout, and then I thought it'd be fun when the ghost of honor, gave everybody some bloody body parts to eat. I laid down some knives. And then it can't be a party without a butler and a maid, so we went ahead and added them as well, which just gave it kind of a more elevated, fancy affair. I tacked on a couple of these bats just because they've definitely made this their home. And then for over here, I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to put on this mirror, but I just thought a chainsaw massacre was calling to me, so we put that up. That actually was a DIY from one of those big giant pieces that you put over a garage door. It's the same with the lady on the porch. I couldn't find something grand enough, so that's a great way to save money, but also have a lot of impact with a piece like that. And then I tucked in a bunch of really beautiful bats and some books. I love using books and moss and natural elements in all of my decor. Every single Christmas, Thanksgiving, fall, and or Halloween decoration I've ever done has incorporated a collection of our books from my husband's family, which date back like hundreds of years. So I always like to grab a couple and trickle them throughout the decor. So the only other part about this I thought was really, really fun was, again, using these bloody fingerprints. We also have some newspaper articles of a house party gone wrong, which I thought was really fun. I found those online and just kind of added them throughout the house. And for the most part, I feel like this, whether you even just did the centerpiece and didn't have all of this, could be a really easy, beautiful thing for anybody to achieve. Just adding in a nice, beautiful candelabra, some of those fun little skeletons and things like that, I think could be a really beautiful piece for anyone to do. You can omit the skeletons, but I just love a very well put together tablescape. So this room came out better than I had expected. I'm really pleased with it. So aside from all of these gory little things to eat, I also love to use these flameless candles. We have 4 children, and for us, keeping things safe but also spooky is part of the dream here. So I picked all of these up. They have little remotes, and with one click, I can turn all of this on and all of this off very quickly. I find that always using flameless when you are having a party is a great, great thing. I'll tell you a funny story. We had Thanksgiving at our house one year, and I had this giant tablescape, and my sister and I were upstairs trying on dresses for New Year's Eve and having the most fun. My husband and my dad and my brother, like everybody was in the kitchen, and all of a sudden we heard the fire alarm going off saying there's a fire in the living room. And I came out the dining room, and I came out and my decor was on fire. We had to use a fire extinguisher, and ever since then, this is the same table. We had to lose one leaf because it completely burned. We have always gone flameless. So highly recommend PSA this Christmas, go flameless. You can get them on Amazon at a great deal. I love them, and it's so easy to just click and they're off. I also think that using lights like this creates such an ethereal vibe for any decor that it's just an absolute must when you're decorating for Halloween, Christmas, or any other season. Halloween takes about a week for us to set up. My husband and I will go to our storage unit and get all of our decor out for this particular season. We do keep Halloween and Christmas in a storage unit just to keep it clean, and otherwise, honestly, my kids will be digging through it all year and playing with everything. So we like to kind of keep it off site, bring it here. He and I will set everything up, and then, like I was saying earlier, that plan that I had, I'll start to pull out things and put them into piles depending on what room they're gonna go in and what theme that they're going to be working with, and then I set up one room at a time. So this process this year was 5 days. We did the front porch, which took 2 days. It was supposed to take 1, but we just couldn't get it all done, and it started raining, which was actually really fun. But typically a full house decorate with me video, or how I do these, take about 6 days in total. Christmas will probably take 6 to 8, a week and a half to get Christmas all the way up. Halloween took a solid week. So for the living room area, since we have a large family and we love to decompress at the end of the day, I wanted to keep this area somewhat casual for the kids to sit and watch movies, but also a little bit elevated for the season. So we added in our very spooky housekeeper, and then I just did, again, with those flameless candles, I do have one candle going when the kids are gone. And I love just kind of how this at night with these really beautiful heavy chains just create kind of a spooky feel, but yet we can all put our drinks down, watch football game, watch TV, and you can't go wrong. We have our nice cleaning lady that can help us at the end of the night. But I do like to keep this area nice and clean for our family, as well as the other living room where we spend a lot of our time. Moving on to the stairs, I wanted to do something that was safe for the kids to be able to run up and down, but also be spooky. We started at the very top by adding just a spooky little silhouette of a woman that wasn't too scary, but we do have a night light that pops up on her that's changing colors. It's really fun. And then working our way down to the skeleton, who definitely wants to see what she's about. And then I just added some of these outdoor hurricane lamps and some lights with some headstones, just to kind of create that warmth and, you know, that Halloween feel, but not too spooky where kids can't run up and down. For the sake of today's video, we do have some bloody feet going up to the top with a keep out sign. So when we do have our Halloween party, we usually don't allow guests upstairs, maybe some of the kids, but keep the kids' rooms off limits. So this usually will go up for things like that. I love using these, again, very affordable and fun. Any of these little bloody feet, hands, dripping blood, stickers you can put anywhere. I use them pretty much throughout all of my decor this year. And then up the top, I just use some of that black mesh fabric to kind of create, again, that feeling of nobody's been here for a while. The spiders have taken over, and then we just added a couple large spiders going up the staircase. Again, trying not to put too much on this railing so that the kids can still use it for safety reasons going down. The fabric creates that. Sometimes if you put garland up there during Christmas, it can kind of obstruct their ability to have a safe flight down the stairs. So I really, really love this. I think it turned out lovely. If you were going to go a little more over the top, you could even put some more of that moss down below to really, really make it spooky. I just didn't want to clean it up, so we kept it here. So onto this bookshelf. When we moved into this house, this is a 20-foot wall of nothing. And for the first 2 years, my husband and I sat here and said, what are we going to do with this 20-foot wall of nothing? We thought of getting a vintage tapestry we could hang from it, maybe paint it as an accent wall, which he absolutely despises accent walls, so I wasn't going to fight for that. We thought of putting an art gallery here, and we have a huge collection of books. This is maybe 1/10 of our collection of books. And so we thought, why don't we just put a bookshelf here? So we actually built this, I want to say maybe a year ago. And it has been so much fun to decorate over the years. Our family is a huge Limax collection family. We get one piece every year and add it. I've got a Halloween collection and a Christmas collection. The kids all write their names on the bottom and what year we get them. And on Halloween night, we turn this all on, and it's just such a fun tradition we've had. And then someday when my kids are older, you know, we'll split the collections up and their kids will enjoy them as well. And then we just ended up adding some random Halloween things. I had this guy for like 5 years and we've never used him. So my husband was like, we should just put him on the bookshelf. So that worked out great. I like to, again, add in some of that spider web material just to give it that older look, which I just find to be so fun. Hung up a couple babies as to just kind of complete this area, but you could really do anything with a bookshelf. I've seen some incredible bookshelf transformations for Halloween, but typically this is where we do our Limax Village. So welcome to my favorite room in the house. I had so much fun making this the silliest room. So this is our guest bathroom, and I wanted to do something very, very silly. And it was actually inspired by this funny sign that made me feel like, okay, if I was going to have guests in here, how could I make it spooky? And so I decided to get this butler to come in with the toilet paper to help this guy who's been shot in the head to get it to the bathroom. And then again, using just stickers and some of those spider webs, I added just a little bit of a different effect here. I love these hanging lights. You can use these pretty much anywhere, but they give such an ethereal look. I love the way when a guest walks into the bathroom, obviously during our party, he will have finished his business and we'll be out of here. But when they open the door, this is be the only light, as well as these candles over here. And then up here, I just added some mirrors, some other spooky stickers, and then we also have just the regular things that you would have up here, except for a nice bloody knife. Can't have a Halloween without one of those. And some spooky spiders in the corner. But I love this. I have some bloody footprints on the ground here, and I just really wanted to make this kind of silly and fun, and I thought there was nothing funnier than this being on the potty. So this will be probably one of the kids' favorite rooms. They haven't seen this yet, so I'm excited for them to check it out. So in the kitchen, I had this idea of what would a witch do when she comes home after a long day of haunting the town, and what would she need to make her potions. And so I thought I would do a haunted kitchen den for our friendly witches. So the kids typically have breakfast here, so I kind of got everything set out for their breakfast. I have some cauldrons with some candy, which I begged them not to eat, but they will. And I always hang something from this for all seasons. It's always different. This year I went with these little witch hats and then glued some bats on them just to give it a little bit of something extra. And then again, I used those hanging lights, which are kind of fun. They come with this little wand, and you can just turn them on, turn them off. Again, I love that type of stuff. You can really create an ethereal look without having to blow candles out or put your house at risk. And then on the inside is where the fun really starts. Again, part of my love and joy of decorating is to go over the top with the little tiny details. So over by the witch's brewing station, I created a nice little area for our coffee. When friends come over, they grab coffee, my girlfriends and I go for walks. I added some brew cups, and then over in this corner is just everything that you would need to make a nice spell or something that a witch might necessitate to cast a spell. For this area, I always love traditional nostalgic Halloween. So I oscillate between these types of very realistic skeletons and then these more nostalgic pieces. So I've always added these pieces to this area because this is where I spend, other than our bed, this is where I spend most of my time because I love to cook. So I keep those pieces here because they bring me a lot of joy. And I always say keep the pieces that make you smile closest to you and where you are. So if you're in your office, maybe put a piece next to your desk that you love. So for the kitchen witchery area, I really wanted to go over the top by using real elements like these beautiful stones. And then I found all of these little spiders and eyeballs, and we found some of these really fun scorpions to just kind of create the element of these witches have these live living creatures just hanging out in their kitchen. They're going to use them in this cauldron and make some spells. I added this kind of fun, like how to create these different spells and the spell book that we used for our DIY project. Then over here we have this cute little carousel with things like teeth and body parts. I also love these little stones. You can get a lot of these. You'll read the spells call for different types of stones. So we got these to add in. I suppose you really could make a spell out of this corner if you wanted to. And then we have a little thing of bone powder, which I just added a little flower in there, but I made it a little messy, which is kind of a fun touch. And then a precious stone map, so you know exactly what stones to use for the hexes and spells. And then another thing I really like to do is add a couple wreaths to our upper cabinets. I just think it really is important to do decor, so it starts from the top and flows down. So I added a couple witch hats up there, and then these very simple little bat wreaths with some purple ties I just thought would be really, really fun, especially with the juxtaposition of a lot of orange in here. So it's nice to bring a little extra purple into the space. And then the other thing I always get I typically get these in the fall, are these cinnamon broomsticks. I get them at Trader Joe's. I think you can get them other places. Not only do they smell delicious, but they make a perfect witch's broom. So I always grab a couple of those. And since we have 4 kids, I always typically do things in 4 and 6s. So I've got a broomstick for each one of my little witch children. And then from there, we have to go somewhere to rest our brooms and relax. So I wanted to kind of make this more of our Halloween Hocus Pocus witch's living room. And for that, I got really inspired with that Hocus Pocus spell book. And I thought how fun it would be to take some of the pages out of that book and burn the edges and make it as if somebody opened the door and the pages just cascaded over the fireplace. So in order to do that, I pulled those pages out and carefully burned the edges. And then again, using those natural elements of the twigs, I have some bushels of dried rosemary here, which smell delicious, definitely not spooky, but look spooky. And then used some foliage here to hot glue those pieces throughout. So as you look through here, you'll see crows, bats, some of those witch spells, and they're silly spells. They're not real spells, they're just jokes, but still they're very, very silly and funny to read. And then I have collected sticks like this over the years. I use for all types of different decor. Last year, this was actually the centerpiece of our table. And I like to use the hot glue gun because you can just easily pop these right off and reuse them. I like to reuse all of my decor. I definitely am a big saver of things versus just throwing things away. So I was very excited to do this particular vignette to see how it would come together with the skulls and these spells, which is very, very fun. And then this idea of these ghosts just reminded me so much of when my kids were little. And when my kids were little, I used to focus most of my decor on little things like little pumpkins and ghosts. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of go back in time and do a very sweet vignette in our breakfast nook area that was a little bit more soft. So I ended up going with the ghost theme, and I got a ghost for each one of us. All 6 of us are here. And then a ghost for my husband's father and my mother, who have both passed on but are here with us all the time in our hearts. So for this tablescape, I still keeping with the witch theme, I did a wicker cauldron with a bunch of florals that I just kind of had from fall, and those black flowers that I had left over with these beautiful witch plates, and then a little boneyard underneath to kind of create that spookiness, but still keep it silly with the ghost so it's not too scary. But this is going to be the kids' favorite room will be in here. This is exactly the kind of stuff that they love. I think one year we need to put a good chandelier here. I'm not sure what to do, but I think we definitely need something fun up there. For the last, I'd say 20 years, I was in the wine industry. I worked my way up from being a tasting room, just person who poured wine for people, all the way up into an executive role. And even throughout all those years, having my kids, decorating and being at home was my happy place. So I always really enjoyed that. And I want to say, like in the 2010 to 2018, I thought, I want to start a blog and share all of these like homemade Montessori flashcards I do for my kids and sensorial bins and, things that at that time were not really talked about. Now you can get them in the dollar section at Target, which is fantastic. But I was really, really wanting to build a community around parenting and just having more fun and being mischievous, and when you get home, just pouring into your children. So I started a blog and realized I absolutely despise writing. I don't like writing, and I'm terrible at taking pictures. So I started it up and dropped it about 3 times over the course of 5 years. I tried, and it just wasn't for me. I didn't feel the passion for it. And I feel like anything you need to put out into the world, you have to love it first. And I just ended up not doing it. Speed up to 2020, I was doing a Harvard business course, and it was a Harvard Extension School. I did their digital marketing management course. So in that, one of my professors was a big YouTube advocate, and so we did a case study on YouTube, and I learned how to monetize a channel. And so for my capstone project, I started a YouTube channel and monetized it in a month, using everything I learned at Harvard, which is an incredible program. If anybody wants to do that, I highly recommend it. And through that process, once I graduated, was like, well, what am I going to do with this monetized YouTube channel? And I did everything. I could tell you chapter verse exactly how I did it, but it was basically all about home decor. So that was kind of coming into July, August. So I started to do my first, porch decorate with me, and then my tablescape decorate with me, and then I just kept going, and I grew so fast, and it just kind of gave me that fuel to keep going. I did maintain my job until November of last year. I have officially kind of retired from the wine industry and focus on my kids, my husband, is in the wine industry and extremely busy and travels all the time. And thankfully, this YouTube platform has given me the ability to still be able to provide for my family, but continue to do what I love. It reminds me of a quote somebody said to me when I was young, which was, do what you love and you're never going to work a day in your life. And I genuinely feel such gratitude that I get to do that every day. Okay, welcome to the front porch. This was the part of the house that was most exciting, because where all the kids from the neighborhood are going to come is right here to get their candy and get scared. So I wanted to do something different and very special. So as I was saying, I really had this vision of using lots of big trees and limbs. So my husband and I use that as kind of the backdrop of this entire vignette. I've got all kinds of trees and limbs in here. I wanted to be able to use them to hang bats off and lights off and all kinds of webs. And then I wanted to cover everything in bats, because at night this looks so scary and spooky. We went with purple and orange lights for this, just to give it that extra dimension. We tacked on, so these are all zip tied on here, so they're nice and safe, but we have 4 of our skeletons, which we have as our kids. We always do that. And then again with the 6 of us in spider mode up top. And then I wanted to add just some kind of softer things, especially for the littler kids who are down here. So we added some jack-o'-lanterns and some skulls just to kind of warm things up. And then to bring it out, I decided to do the same lights and the webs throughout these bushes and top them with mom and dad skeletons. And I felt like we needed something a little spookier, so we ended up doing a cutout again from one of those garage covers. I don't know who she is or where she's from, but we love her. She's kind of growing on all of us, to be honest. I don't know how creepy and spooky that is, but she's just kind of growing on us. And then the over the top, this has always been a bit of a quagmire for us on bringing this decor out here, especially on this facade. So we grabbed one of these really large branches and fixed it to the property, and then again just did the same thing with that black cloth, adding in those bats. And then my husband proudly did all the bats and spiders. This is all him, very proud of all of his hard work on those. And then we continued out here, specifically wanted to continue this so that when kids are here, they know exactly how to get to the house and it feels safe and silly and fun. And then last but not least, we have our 12-foot skeleton ready to go get all that candy. We love this guy. I did find out that they do have a dog version, so I might need to grab that because I think that would be so cute. My husband decorates his 1967 Mustang every single year for Halloween, and so we have not fully finished it, but we are out and about and ready to get some candy. As a family, I just think it's so fun. I love a good classic car, but we decorated this together. We'll probably do some more things along the side of it, but gotta have a little fun. If you're not laughing, you're not living. I would consider myself a maximalist when it comes to decorating or really anything. Even when I cook dinner, I tend to cook enough for the whole neighborhood and they love it. So I guess it works out for everybody. But for me, I just feel like it has always been, since the kids are in the house, I'm always gonna go above and beyond for all things, whether it's a birthday party, whether it's a pool party. I just really like to have fun. I like people to have an experience, and I think that it is such an enriching thing to share when people come into our home, that they always know they're gonna get something special to eat and something special to look at. The word home to me is, I would say, is legacy. It is the safest touchstone in the world. It is the place, it's kind of my jewel box. I keep all my most special things here. I only put things that I love and take care of, and love and take care of me. Home to me is literally the one place in this whole world that is the place I can be myself. I can love on my friends and family, and anyone I know that is in that circle can come here and get that type of love. And I just feel like there aren't many places and people I know that realize how important and how tender and sacred a home is. I wish more people would take the time to put love and energy into the home, because the home is something you can take anywhere. It's right here. Like my childhood home. When my kids leave someday, they can always come back. Whether it's this house or hopefully it'll be a different house, who knows? But home is a feeling, it's safety, and it is filled with so much love.
It's Halloween in New York City, and designer Hillary Wallace has turned her Upper West Side brownstone into a spellbinding celebration of creativity and imagination.
So the theme is potions and witchcraft and just, light kind of darkness, but very sophisticated. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds very cool.
It all started with a trip to a giant warehouse auction in Pennsylvania, where pallets of pumpkins stretched as far as the eye could see. Hillary wandered the aisles, marveling at the endless shapes and sizes, and by the end of the day, she had hauled home 4,000 pumpkins, each one destined to play a part in her fantastical Halloween display.
I had to get my grand prize winner. It was 162 pounds. I really wanted to get the one that was 590 pounds, but I just didn't think it was going to fit on the stoop. So next year I'll figure out how to get it up there.
Her stoop is now a world of potions, pumpkins, and playful mischief, layered, glowing, and filled with tiny surprises around every turn.
And then here again, we have, our little friendly rats. These are the best kinds of rats to have in New York.
Step inside and the enchantment continues. The parlor comes alive with floating witches' hats, flickering candles, and the feeling that you've wandered into a haunted New Orleans mansion, equal parts sophisticated and witty.
Eyes are always very important to make sure someone's always watching what you're doing, because we, as witches, always have an eye on you.
For Hillary, Halloween isn't about fright, it's about delight. It's her chance to create, to play, and to remind everyone passing by that a touch of imagination can turn even an ordinary city block into something truly magical.
So behind all this chaos, there's a story. And I love that when people walk by, you see them smile. And it sounds corny, but it's true. You walk by and no matter what's going on in your day, you're like, this is really funny. And that's what I like about it. And it's just magical. And it's my version of, I guess, Disneyland that I can create. That's what I love about it.
To watch Hillary's full episode ad-free, scan the QR code or click join below.
Hi, Homeworthy. Welcome to my haunted home. I'm Hillary. Come on in.
This fall, Homeworthy is all about the season's magic. We're stepping inside homes transformed by autumn's colors, where pumpkins aren't just decorations, they're statements.
We went to the auction in Pennsylvania and brought 4,000 pumpkins back, and I have them all on my stoop, and the neighbor's stoop, and the other's neighbor's stoop, and the other neighbor's stoop, and my backyard.
where shadows and candlelight mingle to create a hint of spookiness, and every corner tells a story.
And so the theme of this was friends are coming over for a nice dinner. It clearly turned into a bit of a bloodbath. We have some candles and some transitional pieces throughout. There's like teeth and guts.
From extraordinary Halloween displays to cozy gatherings at home, we'll explore spaces that feel both enchanting and inviting.
For the tablescape today, I really wanted to capture all these deep sort of jewel tones for fall. These gorgeous reds and deep purples. They really are rich and inviting.
Plus, in the kitchen, we're celebrating the flavors of the season with dishes that bring warmth, comfort, and a touch of whimsy to the table.
Remember that fall isn't just about the foliage changing, but it's about the mood changing even in the house. And that has to do even with what you're cooking, right? So today we're going to make a really moist, fabulous apple cake.
So light the candles and enjoy our autumnal series, because nothing says home like a little spook and a lot of heart. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Welcome to Hillary's Haunted House. All right, guys, this is the moment I know everybody's been looking for. I got my Halloween outfit on, the Mistress of Darkness. Woohoo! All right, we have spent a long time putting this together with a lot of details, with a lot of our little creatures. And as you know, we went to the auction in Pennsylvania and brought 4,000 pumpkins back from the largest pumpkin auction in Pennsylvania, or should we say in the United States. So I brought 4,000 back from the auction, and I have them all on my stoop, and the neighbor's stoop, and the other's neighbor's stoop, and the other neighbor's stoop, and my backyard. So I'm gonna show you as much as I can, but right now we are gonna focus just on my stoop. So the theme is potions and witchcraft, and just, you know, light kind of darkness, but very sophisticated. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds very cool. So what we did is we kind of, with our spell books, with all of our creatures, and they come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at, okay, sorry. And so we have snails, and then we have all of our cockroaches, and the kids love counting them at night. And it looks like somebody left me a bucket of eyes. It's really cute. We have a lot of people leaving us cute little gifts at night. What the greatest thing about this auction is when you bid on them, you bid on them by the pallets. So you have to bid on them, at least per pallet is about 200 to 300 pumpkins per pallet. And that's how you're buying them. So let's say you want the ones with the bumps. So you bid on them and you're getting 300 to 400 pumpkins. Or you want the Cinderella pumpkins. Or you want the gourds. So that's how you bid on them. So that's how this happened. And so as you see, our theme is potion and eyeballs. See, we have the big eyeballs, and these eyeballs are from a place called Big Shiny Balls. I swear that's what it's called, Big Shiny Balls. And we just like the idea of, you know that song, Somebody's Watching You, and we like that idea. And they light up at night, and it's really cool. And we just like the fluidity of them kind of moving around. And then one thing I have this year that's totally new that I love are these face pumpkins. Look, that's Dracula. No, that's Frankenstein. Frankenstein. I'm not sure what that guy is. And then that's Dracula over there. So basically what they do, sorry, I got a hand here. Basically what they do is they put them in a mold when they're growing, and then when the pumpkin grows out of it, the shell busts open, and it makes these really incredible face pumpkins. So those have been a very big hit this year. So I love those. So we just created this really interesting pile of pumpkins. You know, I love stacking things because it creates for more dimension. Let me put the hand back. He was right there. And we have our snakes friendly in, and we have our Spanish moss to create almost, I was kind of feeling like a New Orleans vibe, Dracula haunted house, all in one. That's what we were going for. And as we move on up, you know I had to get my grand prize winner. It was 162 pounds. I really wanted to get the one that was 590 pounds, but I just didn't think it was gonna fit on the stoop. So next year I'll figure out how to get it up there, and we'll just have to have everyone climb over to get in. So I was very excited for my grand prize winner. And then here again, just we have, you know, our little friendly rats. These are the best kinds of rats to have in New York. And then again, my eyeballs. And we have the little skeleton guys holding them up. And then at night, I have green lights, which is kind of cool. And we have the eyeballs light up there. And it's so pretty. And then we have all these lights that glow up. And that's our theme. And then we have, oh, I want you to come meet Barry. Barry's very important. So this is Barry. So Barry's been with me now. See, I know, it's so ridiculous. Barry's been with me probably for about 12 years now. And kids really like him. And he does scare a lot of kids on the block, but yes. So that's Barry. And he's holding down one of the tombstones here. It says, for rent, very small 1-bedroom. So that's kind of cool. And then we come into this area here, which we thought was, you know, for us, it's all about detail. These are cockroaches going all the way up. And it is great because there's a school over there, a French school, and the kids come over here and I'll be in my office and I just hear them counting the bugs in French. And I think, what a great New York moment. They're learning French and how to count bugs. And so then we come down here. Of course, I have an Amazon package. You know, more of our potions coming down, and this all lights up at night. We got our fingers stewing in our pots and our potions, and we have more face pumpkins. And this is just more of where the magic happens down here with our brooms. Actually, next week we're adding another layer up here. There'll be a version of more eyes, but we wanted to wait till we got a little closer to Halloween, so there's a little bit more magic till Halloween. And then, you know, we have the hands, which is fun. And again, it was just lots more layering. It's supposed to be like a little graveyard / the caulders with the hands. And this all lights up too. Again, tons more pumpkins. And then even in my neighbor's yard, I added more pumpkins over there. They kindly let me do it. Yeah, so this is what's happening down here. Lots of pumpkins. He's smoking. Look, and he's drinking Rosemary Baby's beer and he's having a cigarette. How funny is that? Okay, the thing that inspires me about Halloween is I get to be super creative and I love being creative. It's, you know, there's that one thing that really gets you going and it's being creative. So I get to be creative, it makes people happy, I get to have fun doing it. It's the little things like adding the bugs and the eyes and taking the skeletons and creating the skeleton like a little story. So behind all this chaos, there's a story. You might not see it, but I see this story, what's going on here. And so for me, we've created a whole story behind this. And I love it. And I love that when people walk by, you see them smile. And it sounds corny, but it's true. You know, you walk by and no matter what's going on in your day, you're like, this is really funny. You know, and that's what I like about it. And it's just magical. And it's my version of, I guess, Disneyland that I can create. That's what I love about it. So I did not grow up with any type of seasonal stuff in California. You know, there's no snow. There's no really fall. There's really no seasons in California. I'd be the kid, if it would rain a little, I'd want to build a fireplace and put a turtleneck on, and it would still be 80 degrees raining. So I always craved seasons. I found them romantic. I loved the idea of it. So I always wanted to do Halloween. I remember we lived on a block, and I would put Halloween music out my window. And it was something I always wanted to do. So when I got to New York, I started doing it just when I was single and on my own. I would start doing little things. And then once I had kids, it was like almost I was allowed to kind of go crazy. and I just went nuts. I would start getting pumpkins everywhere. I went to the Halloween spirit store. I was buying everything you could, putting it everywhere. And it just kept growing and growing. And I love it. And it brings so much joy to everyone around. And it makes people smile. And it's just become part of who I am. It's Hillary Halloween, Halloween Hillary, Halloween Hillary. Oh, that's kind of catchy, Halloween Hillary. So I did not grow up with this, but now I think my kids will become Halloween people. I hope I have passed that on to them. Ooh. Okay, we are entering the parlor floor, and I'm going to take you around my ancestor portrait wall. Whoa. So first, we have to talk quietly because we don't want to wake any of them right now. This is my Aunt Bertha right here. Aunt Bertha, Aunt Annie. And these are very old portraits. And you have to get a little close to see what happens at night. This is my Aunt Gertrude up there. That's my third cousin. Are you following that? And that is up there is my uncle, deceased Kenny. All right? So these are my very important family members. And here's Buddha. He's got some issues going on. I got to clean him up a little. And this is a little sensitive here, but I'm going to put it on, but we can't tell anybody. Are in here. My trapped souls. Trapped souls. So now we're in our parlor and we have our fireplace on. So a little later we can stew up some spells just for a little bit later. Oh, here's our spell book. We've got a little roach. Let me just get it off. I'm just kidding. And we have our little spell book. So tonight I'll be sitting here reading my spell book while I relax in my haunted parlor. So we have our candles ready for tonight for our little potion making. And here's the potions, which I cannot share with you. Very, very important. I'm going to put my little bug back. Put him right there. And we have our flowers. And what's important is we put a little blood in there to keep our dead roses alive. You get it? Our dead roses alive with the blood. And then we have our witch hats, what we have going across the whole floor, because we have to maintain that we know it's for witches only. That's very important here. We can't let other people in. It's witches only. And then we have all of our beautiful roses. And, oh, someone lost their eye, and we leave that in there. And then along here, we created this beautiful, warm feeling of how our haunted house feels with a little sophistication. Eyes are always very important to make sure someone's always watching what you're doing, because we as witches always have an eye on you. So we sort of created this warm moment with more flowers there with the eyes on you. And for me, it's just about layering and layering and layering. And then we have tons of cobwebs we just can't get cleaned up. And we did the best we can, and we have black cobwebs everywhere. The painting is Jeff Mies, and it's actually a beautiful painting, and we got it in the Hamptons. And we love this painting because we used to go paddleboarding in there. So it actually kind of brings you into the sunset, like you're paddleboarding in there. I love this painting. It's one of my favorite paintings. It looks like we should have just kind of thrown some cobwebs, but that's not really what happens. To string everything up and to do all the details, this actually took us a full day and a half, because what you want it is to look easy and effortless, right? but a little sophisticated. So this took us quite a while because when I do stuff, we do a lot of details. You know, you see details on everything, like the little bugs, doing all these, the candles. Everything you see here takes a lot of time. With the spiders in there, you're putting the lights, you have to put these together, and you're constantly moving things around to see how it feels. And so for me, it's not about just getting like one big object and putting it there. For me, it's about layering, because that's what really creates the moment. You know, you want it to be scary, but a little sophisticated too, because it has to work in the element of your space. So a perfect example, I'll take you back to the family wall of the family tree. Like, it's just adding, you know, this little thing, the little body of the skeleton, you know, and we just added, you know, some of the cobweb thing. And I still want my house to feel sophisticated, but, you know, we just add a little body hanging, you know, and it creates this whole element. And I wanted to leave my paintings up, but I added my family tree that were just dying to get on the wall. Sorry, I couldn't help that one. The vibe of my house, when it's not in the style of haunted decor, is a New Orleans feeling. So we were trying to bring in the haunted decor feeling with a New Orleans kind of decor feeling, which is a good vibe for a haunted house, right? You think of New Orleans, Dracula, witches. So since there's a good amount of antiques I've bought from New Orleans, I thought that was sort of the right vibe to bring in for the Halloween theme. So this is an antique store from New Orleans. The chandeliers from New Orleans. I had these chairs made in New Orleans, and I had this chair made in New Orleans. So for me, I felt like it was the right vibe to bring in that New Orleans kind of jazzy, haunted house feeling. And especially with my ancestors' pictures next to this New Orleans mirror, it really brought it together. And I felt like there was a good, you know, combination for them speaking together. In fact, my Aunt Mary probably was born about the same time this mirror was made. You know, maybe she can speak about that a little later tonight when she comes alive at night. Okay. Here's our dog, Frankie, who is alive and well. This is actually, Frankie is Frankie, or you can call her Frankenstein for now. And this is our little Frankie. And these are her great ancestors. All right. That was Puglet. And I think this was, I can't remember what this dog's name was, but that was definitely Puglet. That would have been Frankenstein, and that was Puglet. And so we have them here to remember them for Halloween. All right, Frankie, but don't worry, Frankie. You've got a long time. So we have them there to honor them. I found this place. It took us several years. We looked at multiple places before we found this one because I had a lot of specific things I wanted in a house. I didn't want it too big. I didn't want it too small. I didn't want to be in a co-op. I didn't want this. I didn't want that. So we were limited on what we wanted. And I found this place and I walked in and it really did sing to me. And I know that sounds weird and people say you know when you know, but I knew when I knew. And when we bought this place, I said, oh, we don't have to do anything to it. No work, we're gonna move right in. Well, 2 years later, after so much construction, we made it more of what we wanted, and that's how we found it, and we moved in, and we love the Upper West Side. We love our neighborhood, and I love my home, and it's become a family home. My friends' kids, my family from California come here, and we've really made it a home that we hope we have forever. Well, I'm from California. I'm from LA. I moved here for work. I want to say 30 years ago. Wow. And I didn't know if I was going to stay, but I came because it was one of those dreams. If you could make it here, you could make it anywhere. And so I came, and my career just took off. I started working at Ralph Lauren in the design department, and it was just a jackpot. It was just, I met the most amazing people. My career took off from there. Then I met my husband. Then I got married. Then I had kids, and I started my own business. And then, you know, it was just like, whew, from there. And I never left. And it's been a really cool ride. It's been a really great ride. And so we're still riding that wave. And we're gonna continue to. I wanna say I was born into it. I've been doing this since I've been a little kid, whether I was playing with dolls or erasers or whatever I was playing with, I was always redoing everything. And in fact, I was a kid in the house where my parents would say, stop touching our stuff, stop rearranging. So it kind of was just a natural thing for me. And I actually went to college to be a newscaster. And that didn't work out so well for me because I was really bad at reading the scripts. So that didn't work out great for me. So what I realized in college, I was helping everyone do their dorms, and I was always helping people. And then I realized that was it for me. And then I'm going to grad school for it, and then there from history. And it just always was fun and natural. And somebody said to me once, find something that you love to do and make money doing it. And I was like, wow, that's a novel concept. And that's how I got into it, and it's been really great. So I'm gonna bring you into the kitchen, but I did wanna show you one thing. So when we are having parties, which we will, especially when the group of my witch sisters come in, we will close this. So when they're doing their potions, you get total privacy, which is very important. Plus, I love these Portier curtains. I mean, look at these. Come on, guys. You can't get better than these. All right, so then we open it up, and we kept the kitchen a little bit more mellow, so some cooking can happen in here. And we needed one place in the house that wasn't too crazy. I do want to share one very important thing that I got from a very important person outside. Somebody drew me a picture of the outside of my house, Eloise. She drew pumpkins and the eyeballs and a witch, and then wrote her name. This made me so happy. I love Eloise, so she drew this and gave it to me. It made me so happy. This was right on. So back to the house. So we carried the witch theme all the way through the house, you know, put the cobwebs. Except I forgot. My husband was cooking and had a little bit of a problem. Oh no. He splattered some blood. Uh-oh. He lost a finger. That's a problem. Well, I guess sometimes people just have bad luck when they cook. Well, we can talk about that later. You know, sometimes less is little. All right, so now we're gonna go into the dining area. And again, we wanted to keep it Halloween-like, fall-like, New Orleans haunted house-like. So we created the spiders. We really like the idea of the spiders. And, you know, this whole theme creates with, you know, all the gourds, the pumpkins. We kept the Ganesh in here and created this unique, a lot of layers in here. Again, creating the spiders, and then all of a sudden you see the spiders going up the stairs, which we really liked, still keeping it kind of free and easy and open, because our house, we like the idea of it open, and it also kind of takes you to the backyard, which we'll go to after, because we have about 1,000 pumpkins back there too. And then we come into the dining room where we actually still eat here, and we created another moment here. And we have, of course, you need a centerpiece. And then here's some more of my ancestors who I can introduce you to. And then these are some of the potions that we created with all the different lighting. And that's Gertrude. She was probably one of the head beginning of the family. And so this is where we do a lot of the potions. this is where some of the more potions are, but these potions get very dangerous. And so again, it's all about the detail, the layering, and bringing in a little color. But for us, we like to keep it, you know, the dark colors, the eyes, and candles make a huge difference for us. And least but most important are pumpkins and gourds. So that's what I got for you right now. And as you know, you always have to maximize your space. So I don't have an office space anymore because I got kicked out of it because they're making them into condos. So my office space, and I've always had this little space, this is my little desk area, which I really love because I sit here and I'm usually all over the place, but I love this little space. I got this in New Orleans too, but I love it because I face off the balcony. And I also just sometimes sit here and have tea and look out at my balcony, but I do love this little romantic space. So I hang here a lot, and this is a little cleaned up. But what I love about this, and there's French school across from us, so you might hear some French speaking cute kids. Oh, you definitely hear them. So this is my balcony, which I love. And we also, of course, we put our fabulous pumpkins and gourds out here. And sometimes I just hang out and sit out here. I can hear my fountain, and I just hang out here. I love it. I love tea, and I'll just sit out here, and I feel so happy. And it's just very chill. And also when we have parties, we'll move all this back. That's why I don't have a lot of furniture out here. And people will put like little tables out here, so it's a great place to have a party. But my next thing I'm doing out here, which I'll share with you guys, I want to build a greenhouse out here. So that's on my next to-do list. I'm adding it to-do list, is to put a greenhouse in here, is what I really, really want to do. So maybe next time you guys come over, I'll show it to you. Oh, I can put my orchids in there and keep all my stuff. Yeah, they're having a blast over at school. That's all I know. I want to go. So when we were looking for a house that took forever, we lived in a loft downtown in Soho forever. And when we were planning on moving uptown, one of the issues with townhouses is they're dark. And usually the staircase is in the front of the house. So you lose a lot of the first floor. And I love loft living because for me, I always like being in charge of the first floor. I like to know who's coming and who's going. You know, I'm like nosy Nelly. I like to know what everyone's business. And I loved the way this was set up because the staircase was already in the back. So what you have are these huge glass windows. And what's great about it is it faces a brick wall. So nobody's looking in and I can't see anybody. And you have this beautiful ivy that grows up. So for me, this whole floor, we have the parlor floor, we have the dining room and the kitchen. And so everything that kind of happens in this floor, I kind of get to see what's happening. And for me, I like it because it's open, the kitchen's in here, and this is sort of the heart of the house. And for me, that's what I love about it, with these huge windows. And these huge windows go from the basement floor, or not the basement, the ground floor, all the way to the top of the house. And so we get incredible light. And for me, that was really important, especially coming from California. I needed the light. Otherwise, I melt if I don't get the light because I need sun. I need the vitamin D. So that's why I like it. And I love plants. I mean, we took some of the plants out because it didn't go really with our vibe. But I love the light. It's just key to me. Okay, so for the kitchen, this house is actually super skinny. It's long and skinny. So you have to max out the size. So what we did here was we made it 2 walkways, and really, which is good for this size house because it's, like I said, skinny. And what's interesting is we entertain tons. So you know where you always end up when you entertain? The kitchen, right? Even when you're like pushing people out, get out of the kitchen, they still end up in the kitchen. So with this, you can create one big dining room table here if you want. There's things that pull out. So if you want, you can make this one big dining room table, which is great if you're having one big party. But usually what happens is we don't do that. We just push everyone out over there. But what's great about this is you know, you can, when you're preparing dinner, you can either cook, you know, obviously you're cooking here, but you have a sink here. But you have this space so that you can cook, you can prepare, people can walk in, walk out, because we will have up to 40, 50 people in the house. So you need to be able to direct traffic. So that's why this really works. For cooking, for having a party, for just lots of people in the house. And it's great for both cooking and entertaining. And especially, you know, this is the only walkway to the stairs. So this is almost, you know, your hallway. So this is your hallway. So if someone's cooking there, you have to have almost two separate, it's almost like two separate rooms. So we've made this the hallway, then this becomes your hallway, and that's sort of the cook zone. So if you have all the kids coming home with all their friends and all their backpacks, and you're cooking over there, you can't be disturbed. So that person can stay there. So this has many different forms for this. I mean, it's New York living. You figured out what works best for you. So that's what is going on here. Another thing, what I'm going to tell everybody, which is really important and super annoying. For Halloween, you have to get candles. If they're black or white or gold, I don't care what color you're getting, make sure it says that they drip. You don't want dripless, because otherwise it doesn't give this really cool effect. So you have to read it on the package, because otherwise you're going to get all these candles sent here and they're going to be dripless and it's not going to look cool. And I'm telling you, you want that cool effect with the drip coming down, because that's what makes the scary look. Look at that on the skeleton. Look at these. So that's a look you're going for. So make sure it says that they drip. All right? That's all I got. These candles on Amazon in black, and they say drip with red going down. So they're black with red going down. Got me? Okay. If you don't know what this is, then I'm going to tell you. What really probably got me into Halloween was, besides loving Vincent Price, who no one's going to know who he is unless you're over my age, is Vincent Price was the king of scary movies. He did the movie Wax Museum. Scary, scary movie. I suggest you watch it. But what really got me into it was a movie called Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler, who was Winnie, Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't know her name, but really funny. And it was Hocus Pocus 1 and 2. I must have watched the first one 35 times. It's the greatest movie. It's funny, it's scary, it's endearing. The costumes were great. Anyway, this is my shrine to Hocus Pocus. And I love, 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 love this movie. And I think every time I always do a Halloween theme, there's always a little bit of Hocus Pocus to my Halloween. Hence, even maybe this outfit a little. And one year we did a theme of just Hocus Pocus, and we did a wig for Winnie, we did a wig for her, and a wig for her, and it was so great. And it was after Hocus Pocus came out, number 2, and it was so great to see all the young kids knowing what the movie was. So I think this is where my true love of Halloween comes from, after seeing Hocus Pocus. And I think everyone should see it. And I heard they might be making a number 3. So Hocus Pocus, baby. Here you go, my little shrine to Hocus Pocus. Whoa! I love Halloween. I love to dress up. I love the fall. I love the smell of fall. I love pumpkins, as everybody knows who knows me. I love the energy of it. I like the parties. I like the candy. I think the decorations for Halloween could put you in a creative moment that you can create whatever you want. It doesn't have to be scary. It could be whimsical. It could be fun. It could be romantic. And it really can be whatever you want. And what I love about it, it's taking you from summer into fall. And I just love that time of year. And again, I love pumpkins. I have stuff in this house that I've probably had since my kids were born. So some of this stuff is from 22 years ago. Like seriously, I used to take them to Sleepy Hollow every Halloween, and we would be at the CVS and we'd buy stuff. Some of this stuff is stuff, I mean, like the dog stuff. We did a dog theme year one year. A lot of it's from Amazon, I can't lie. A lot of it's from Amazon. A lot of it's stuff we picked up along our journeys when we travel. We do a lot of traveling as a family. So we'll be somewhere upstate or wherever we'll be, and we just start picking weird stuff up because that's the way the Wallaces roll. A lot of it is from just my house. All right, we're not done with the rest of the house. That was just the parlor floor, or the first floor we call it. We're gonna head on down to see the backyard, but I just wanted to show you the way we have the spiders going up the stairs and down the stairs. My dogs hate it. They really won't go up the stairs now, so now we have to carry them up the stairs. Anything for holiday decor, carry the dogs up and down, but let's go downstairs and we'll check out the backyard. Well, this is my girl, Miss Jack-o'-lantern, and she is the one who surveys who comes in and out of the backyard, so do not mess with her, all right? Can I let them go out? She says yes. Okay, sorry. Oh, this is really important. Hairspray. You must put them on your pumpkins. Not for any other reason like there's hair growing out of them, because hairspray keeps your pumpkins from getting moldy and old, and also away from rats and from, what else? From bugs and from flies, and it will make them last a lot longer. So it doesn't matter what kind, it matters that they don't have a scent. So get as much hairspray as you can get and spray your pumpkins. Okay, that's on my to-do list. All right, let's go outside. So we're in the backyard with all my pumpkins and gourds, and these are just some of the leftovers, not leftovers, but from the 4,000 pumpkins that I got at the auction. And we placed them all over the place. And then we created a little moment in the fountain. See the guy, he's the dead guy with his cauldron, and then the mermaid, the dead mermaid, and the dead fish. And then in the cauldron, we have more dead things. And then we created the pumpkins everywhere. And I just love some of these. You know, I love all the different shapes. And there's more shaped pumpkins over there. And then what I like this year is I got these little pumpkins. They're called Ladies at Lunch. I just thought that was the greatest name. And I love being able to line them up through the whole house. This whole side of the house lights up at night. So when you're going up and down the stairs in my house, this backyard is actually a connection of the house. So we have lights in this backyard from the tree that downlight everything. So it's not just like a black hole. So this becomes a very deep connection to that. So you get to see all these pumpkins, whereas this almost becomes another room to the house. So when you're coming down the stairs or up the stairs, you're looking down at all this, and it's super pretty. And I can show you guys, if we go up the stairs, what you're looking down at. And we created like a little montage here, because this is what you see. And we kind of wanted to be a reflection of the indoor and the outdoor, of what is indoor. What is indoor will be outdoor. And so we wanted to carry that theme throughout. So, and of course we'll be having a Halloween party, I mean, of course. And so we wanted to make sure we carried that theme out here. I just seriously love, you can't make fun of me, I love going to the Halloween auction. It is in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. And what I find fascinating is you go to this pumpkin auction, and when I say it's an auction, I'm not kidding you. You are bidding on pallets of pumpkins with a bidder. They're going 5, 2, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm bidding up against Whole Foods, big botanical gardens, and all this. And what you realize is, it's like you don't know where your food's coming from. Well, you don't know where your pumpkins are coming from. People think that they're going to pumpkin patches, but really they're coming from these auctions. What they do is they take these pumpkins and put them in the fields, like you think you're getting from pumpkin patches, but you aren't. And it's coming from these pumpkin patches that are run by the Amish, which to me is so incredible. And when I see these, I feel like I know where they're coming from. It's like, you know, when you know where your food's coming from. So I have a very deep connection to these pumpkins. And I love going out there. I love the feel of them, the way they look, the smell of them. So yes, I have a very deep connection to my pumpkins. And then I like adding the next layer of it. I like the decorating of it. I like the candy. I like the decor, and I like the smile it brings on people. I know it's supposed to be scary, but I don't do the really scary stuff. That kind of freaks me out. I don't like the things that pop out at you. I mean, I do like Barry. But I like the fun part of Halloween. So that's what Halloween means to me. It brings joy to me. That sounds kind of weird, but it does. Would I consider this to be my dream home? 100%. This sounds so corny, but I feel so lucky to be in this home and have this home. Once I got to New York, you move to New York thinking you're gonna move in like a cool apartment, like from, you're growing up watching Sex and the City and Friends, and you just assume you're gonna move in a cool apartment, and you get to New York and you move in a shoebox, So once I started working and getting on my feet, I always thought, wow, how cool would it be to be in a brownstone and do stoops and have a home in New York City and have property and be part of that history in New York. So for me, yes, I am living in my dream home, and I never thought I would ever be able to have anything like this. So for me, yes, this is my dream home. I feel so lucky. I love having it. I really wouldn't want anything else but this, and it's perfect for me. It's the right size. I wouldn't want anything any different at all. No, I'm totally happy with this. So yeah, I'm very happy. I don't know what I'm gonna do as I get older and have to walk up and down the stairs. So I might just be sleeping on the parlor floor, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, this is definitely my dream home. I wanna walk in, and when I close the doors, the world is quiet behind me, and I feel safe, and everything around me. So everything in my house has a meaning behind it. It's not just furniture or table or a rug. Everything that is in my house is something, has a meaning, or a sofa has a texture. It means something to us, or myself, or my family. So for me, a home is my sanctuary. And I would imagine it is for my family too. So for me, that's what a home is. I don't want a cookie cutter home. You're not really seeing exactly the way my house typically looks, but we have tons of family photos. We have things passed down from my grandparents. And I like, when I look around my house, to come in and, this is my home. It's unique to us, and that's what makes it special. And that's what makes this my home and my family's home and not anybody else's home. And that's what makes it unique, and that's what I love about my home. Homeworthy, thanks for coming by today and letting me show you my haunted house. Hopefully I'll get to see you over the holiday season, and have a good day. Bye.
We're back in Dallas, Texas, visiting Bob Gibbs and Matthew Wilson in their beautiful Tudor home. You've seen it in its everyday glory, decked out for Christmas and now decorated for Halloween.
Welcome back to our entryway here at Casa Loma, and just like Christmas, it wouldn't be a holiday if we did not decorate our mantle.
This year, Bob and Matthew are embracing a vintage Halloween theme, decorating with whimsical touches, plenty of pumpkins, and DIY decor.
And we try to go for vintage, happy holidays, so you won't see much scary in our Halloween decor, either in or out.
They've also set up a stunning tablescape where they'll host friends before greeting a record number of trick-or-treaters.
We live in a neighborhood where we, on average, get 200 to 300 trick-or-treaters on average, depending on the weather and what day it falls on. So we like to celebrate, and we'll have a table inside, outside front, and outside back, so you'll get to see the back one in a moment.
Bob and Matthew's home is truly the jewel of their neighborhood, bringing Halloween spirit and joy to everyone who passes by. To watch their full episode ad-free and to see Bob and Matthew's latest additions to their living room, scan the QR code on screen or click the join button below.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Bob.
And I'm Matthew.
Welcome back to Casa Loma. Come on in, we can't wait to show you what we've done for Halloween.
This fall, Homeworthy is all about the season's magic. We're stepping inside homes transformed by autumn's colors, where pumpkins aren't just decorations, they're statements.
We went to the auction in Pennsylvania and brought 4,000 pumpkins back, and I have them all on my stoop and the neighbor's stoop and the other's neighbor's stoop and the other neighbor's stoop and my backyard.
Where shadows and candlelight mingle to create a hint of spookiness, and every corner tells a story.
And so the theme of this was friends are coming over for a nice dinner. It clearly turned into a bit of a bloodbath. We have some candles and some transitional pieces throughout. There's like teeth and guts.
From extraordinary Halloween displays to cozy gatherings at home, we'll explore spaces that feel both enchanting and inviting.
For the Tablescape today, I really wanted to capture all these deep sort of jewel tones for fall. These gorgeous reds and deep purples. They really are rich and inviting.
Plus, in the kitchen, we're celebrating the flavors of the season with dishes that bring warmth, comfort, and a touch of whimsy to the table.
Remember that fall isn't just about the foliage changing, but it's about the mood changing even in the house. And that has to do even with what you're cooking, right? So today we're going to make a really moist, fabulous apple cake.
So light the candles and enjoy our autumnal series, because nothing says home like a little spook and a lot of heart. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Welcome back to our entryway here at Casa Loma, and just like Christmas, it wouldn't be a holiday if we did not decorate our mantle. This year's Halloween mantle, in all transparency, started off pretty easy. It was beautiful. We had it secured, and we woke up the next morning and this was all in the floors. So we had to engineer a new way to do this inspiration, and what this is it's an enormous tree branch that we spray painted black, and it's then grounded in all of these great gilt bronze flowers and pumpkins and crows and these great little apple blossoms, which are kind of fun. And then these cat trick-or-treat lanterns are a great little vintage piece that are hanging off. And then we added to the branches these little glitter. This was, I think, a wreath we cut up and made into branches. Then of course we've got our little crows and our butterflies, and then our great candles. I love these bronze kind of hammered candlesticks, but it really is an interesting way to add a little bit of holiday in a space that traditionally would not get it. It adds a little bit of whimsy, and I love the architecture of it. So it looks like it's just basically sitting on here, but we have it clamped and secured pretty tightly this time around, that way it doesn't fall on the ground. And next we're going to join Bob over at the piano room.
Welcome back to our piano porch, and as every holiday season, we take the opportunity to do a tree on top of the piano. If you're not doing tabletop trees for every occasion, you're really missing out. It gives you an opportunity to collect something differently and do something fun for every holiday. This one is a black flocked tree, and we put it in a really great vintage black basalt container with a lot of gilt, goopy bronze ormolu, and then some non-Halloween but kind of spooky candlesticks. and then just filled it with the vintage candy containers, kind of old lithographics. We're not above using plastic ornaments, especially at Halloween. So all of the ornaments in here are plastic with the exception of the skulls, the candy corn, and some of the other figures, which are all J. Strongwater. And then we also love, Bethany Love design. She does vintage Halloween. And as we go through the house today, I think there are 3 ways of attacking Halloween. There's scary, there's happy vintage, and then there's plastic. And we try to go for vintage happy holiday. So you won't see much scary in our Halloween decor, either in or out. So we like the happy jack-o'-lanterns, the cats, anything vintage inspired. So love the black cat on the jack-o'-lantern. This is new, but all done in a vintage style. Of course, I talked about holiday. I can't get away from a bowl with balls for the season. So once again, have that as a quick and easy and cheap way to do some design. And then our cat, also a reference to one that was made in the 30s, much larger scale. So he's standing beside the Christmas tree. And then I talk about, just these great paper mache vintage pieces that you can still pick up for a dime, a quarter a piece. Use them outside as garlands or stuff them in the tree as ornaments. And of course, always a little bit of fresh on the piano just for the season. So with that, we'll head to the dining room. Before we head to the dining room, I also believe in using what you've got for Halloween, really for all of your decorations. And so I always talk about my cause figures going up the stairs, how much hilarity they bring me, no one else. But this year they reminded me of Fantasia and the Magician Apprentice. So ordered little hats and brooms for them, and they all look like they're about to fly to Gryffindor or somewhere. So again, those are things I already owned, and for $5, added a little witch's hat and broom, and boom, you're done. Welcome back to the dining room. As you've seen in our past 2 episodes, we entertain a lot. So we've got a lot of dishware, china, it's stashed everywhere. We bought, I think, 4 or 5 new sets since you guys were here last. So this is all what we had before, but we're having a Halloween party for a couple of neighbors. We live in a neighborhood where we, on average, get 200 to 300 trick-or-treaters on average, depending on the weather and what day it falls on. So we like to celebrate, and we'll have a table inside, outside, front, and outside back. So you'll get to see the back one in a moment. But this is the more formal one. I guess I should call out first is this is a new table and chair since you were here last time. We are big swappers out when we get the opportunity. So we had a lovely dining room and table chair, but we had the opportunity to upgrade a bit. So these are English wheat shield backed and upholstered in wonderful Hermes leather. And then the table is a lucite piece from the 80s that we just love. These have just gotten high as cats back, so we were wonderfully thrilled to find that at an estate sale. And then for the tabletop this year, this is the adult table, so we wanted to make it fun and yet still have, a little bit of whimsy to it. So I used 3 different sets of our china. You'll see the base is just a wood charger. These couldn't be easier. These came from Pier 1. These are an Oklahoma pottery company, and I can't really remember the name of these, the dinner plate. And then we have this wonderful carnival glass or Trifari glass salad plate, and then just fun for dessert, a ceramic pumpkin. Then we also use our Trifari glass, water, and wine. Interesting story on these. We were at Christmas a couple of years ago at my in-laws in Oklahoma, and our cousin-in-law said, "Oh, y'all do dinner parties. Y'all like that kind of stuff." And so she said, "I've got something for you." And in your head, you're like, "Oh, right, what's this going to be?" She drags out something that's crate size with 2 handles. I'm like, "Oh, great, what's this going to be?" And opens it up to this 460 set china, all in mahogany and antique bronze. So there is service for, I think, 45 with every kind of service utensil you would never need, fish forks and all those kinds of things. So that was a lucky gift we got. And then to make it fun, I just used the vintage candy containers here. You just slip a drinking glass down in there to protect the paper mache, and then you can build your ornament deep inside there. It also allows you to stick your place card in there. And then Jill Williamson does these wonderful, whimsical resin figures of trick-or-treaters, and they're all, some are scary, some are fun. We like all of them. So you'll see as they're scattered across the table, they work as a little bit as place card holders, and then it also just gives us a little bit of Halloween to the table. The rest is fairly simple. We use Sephora table runners, and I just did a zig across the table to give each setting its own unique color beneath it, and then just used more of the Trifari candlesticks. We've got 500 pieces of this Trifari, so we've got anything you could ever use, and you'll see it scattered throughout the house. And then for dinner, we'll be just doing something simple, enchiladas, chips, salsa, just something really great and seasonally colored. So, and then the last thing, we moved these guys in. The last time you were here, these figures were in the family room. As you see, we move things a lot, we acquire a lot. So we have new statues in the living room. So these guys now live in the dining room, and for holiday, we just put a little mask on them to make them look a little scary for the holiday. So with that, I'm going to transfer it over to Matthew. He'll be talking about the Butler's Pantry and the kitchen.
Welcome back to our Butler's Pantry, and yes, we still have an enormous bar set up in the middle of it. It stays up all the time, and you know, in these days, it does help sometimes. But for Halloween, this is kind of treat central. We'll add a couple more bowls, trick or treat night, but this is a great combination of all these great these are little Einerschaller, little bobblehead, paper mache. They're candy containers. So you would take the bottom off and candy goes up on the inside of them. And we've got a great little collection of those here. Candy corn, popcorn balls. I made some candy apples. We'll make some caramel apples for Halloween that we give out to a lot of the neighborhood kids. But then we kept the amari and the yolk pieces up in the shelves, and we added just little pumpkins. And it's just a way to allow your everyday collection to be a little more special and a little more holiday. And then behind us, of course, we continued our great theme with the witch's hat on this great little lady. She's being greeted by two crows, which are her friends. And then this is a great little Bessel Halloween garland that we sized down to have her hanging there. It's a real, just kind of it's a little bit of whimsy. You know, things can get real serious really quickly, and this is a great way to yet again use what you have and bring it into the holiday. And then through the Butler's Pantry, we get into the kitchen. I just can't help myself. I have had this Halloween tree for a variation of this Halloween tree for easily 20, 25 years. It's grown to this. It's gotten really big, but it's so much fun, and I love all the glass, the antique and vintage Halloween ornaments. I get a couple every year. I'm not as excessive as the Christmas, but this is pretty excessive if you ask me. And then of course these are those great trick-or-treaters. The base of the tree is garnered with this great little mache haunted house, which makes it all a little bit of fun. My favorite little guy is this little guy here with the bow tie. I've had him a real long time, little jack-o'-lantern. And then there's a devil up top that's a lot of fun. And this is ground zero for our house. This is where we are all the time between the family room and the front door. This is where everything happens. So it's kind of fun to have something where you see it all the time and you get to enjoy it all the time. And lastly, along the top plate rail, you know, the tree for some reason wasn't enough, and so I thought, well, maybe we could find something to put up there. And this year, Target had the best. These black silhouette houses are all from Target, and they were very inexpensive. You know, and it was fascinating because I was at the store and I saw one or two, and then I got online and I found more of them. And what was interesting is that they're all metal. I had them electrified. And then we added the antique mache containers to kind of stagger in between. But that's, yet again, another layer of whimsy for Halloween that's here in the kitchen. Just something to make you smile, something to take the seriousness off of the day. And then this is one of my favorite things for Halloween. It's an antique jack-o'-lantern bubble light chandelier. And those were made popular in the 40s and the 50s, and this is, I do believe, a reproduction of one. I gifted one to my parents years ago, and I just said I had to have one too, so I ordered one for us to go here in the kitchen. And she stays on most of the time.
Okay, welcome back to our courtyard. We always try to make sure that when we're having a party that our guests are encouraged to spill throughout and outside of the house. So we also always have adequate seating outside and always set up an additional dining room table that allows you to have more guests. And it is also a great place for people to spill if, you know, they're smokers or anything like that. So with this table, we went a little more casual than the one up in the dining room. So talking about, I had looked at these plates before online through replacements.com. They're handmade and they were kind of pricey for what they were. And so I just thought, I'm going to skip this year. And everyone is different and they're all handmade. So they're kind of in, you know, they've got wavy edges and things like that. And they, of all places, we were at Home Goods and they had just enough to buy. So Home Goods managed to get a section of goods and we bought them there. I love them. Paired them with, these were my grandmother's Libby. They're nothing special. I think she used these every day in the 70s, but I thought they had a great shine and kind of brightened the table for the holiday. And then down the center of the table, I just did a combination of real pumpkins and faux pumpkins. The big, I think these are all real with the exception of the jack-o'-lanterns on the end of the table. And then just to make it simple, since it's an outdoor table, I used our everyday flatware, everyday linens, and chargers and napkins. So this really couldn't be easier and gives you a lot of impact for not a lot of money. So if we continue around, as you look around the courtyard, you'll see we did all mums. You know, every time you come, I don't have any color in the backyard, and this year we have color in the backyard. It's fall, so there's normally a little bit more, but it's still hot as the face of the sun in Dallas, Texas. So we do mums in all of the containers. And then I told you we believe in vintage or fun holidays, so we have tons of the old jack-o'-lanterns. These are all the antique ones. Some are blow molds and some are just the older plastic ones. This guy is my favorite here. Both of them have a little crack in their lips, so they're imperfect. I think they call that cleft palate now. Anyway, so these are my not quite right pumpkins, which I love. And then this is our Victorian plant stand that this year has kind of turned into a cornucopia of Halloween plenty. I guess we'll go with that. So lots of pumpkins, lots of leaves. And at night, all of these light up and really have a great look. And then the last section, again, more blow molds just scattered throughout the garden. You know, as you saw in the front, we're not afraid of a couple of blow mold pumpkins. So we scattered them throughout the garden along with the mums. Then on the table, we have a great Bethany Love spider. More jack-o'-lanterns. We did these skeletons. These are Target. I think they're $4 a piece. You see them in the window up front. I think they've got a lot of personality, and especially if you install them, not just hang them and let them drop. So if you'll notice, I make them do different poses. I cut them at levels where they're elongated, so it just makes them a little more custom. And then the last thing we have out here is right behind you are our Halloween nutcrackers that I bought at 3 a.m. when I might have been overserved one time. So they're a little shiny. They're a little less vintage than I might prefer, but they've got a lot of looks. So if you come back next year, these things will be painted down and more vintage in inspiration. So again, you can see we go a little bit over top, but we're a firm believer in all holidays and decorating, especially around holidays. Curb to curb, we're going to decorate the majority of the house.
Welcome to our front yard. It's quite the collection of blow mold, jack-o'-lanterns, and all things Halloween. This last weekend, we built this installation. We wanted it to somewhat have a communication to the fireplace, and one of our good neighbors was having some dead trees cut down and some limbs, and I bartered with him for the branches, and then we set up in the driveway and painted it all, and then built piece by piece, crow by crow, branch by branch, and this is kind of what it turned into, which I find it to be very fascinating. And yet again, like the fireplace, it's very architectural and it's something different. Historically, we've always done a beautiful cornstalk garland with all sorts of pumpkins and gourds, and this year we wanted to do something a little different, and I think this did it. I love the bats, I love the butterflies, and then of course the crows. It's funny, I think we've messed with our crows in the neighborhood because over in the bird bath they've kind of hung out. I think they may think that these are their people, but they're really not. I don't think they know that, but we'll figure that out soon enough. You know, the first couple episodes we got a lot of comments on not having an entryway. You know, you just walk into our house. So this is kind of what we would consider our entryway. During the pandemic, we were out here nightly, and it was so nice to sit out front and just be part of the world, and neighbors would sit in the yard. But we have this great oversized porch where you have a full sitting area where you can actually enjoy the front. Most kids in our neighborhood, they play in the front yards. So it's nice that families are out and our neighbors are out in the front. And it's a nice little place. And again, we've just added a couple little jack-o'-lanterns on the coffee table. And then Bob did these dancing skeletons in all the front windows, and I think they're so fun, and they're interesting and fun from the street. And we get a lot of compliments from people walking, and their kids will come down. We have one family that their 4 kids come down every night before bedtime because they have to come see the jack-o'-lantern house before they can go to sleep. So and we'll get out in the yard and kind of show you all of the jack-o'-lanterns that we have.
For the yard, we do hundreds of jack-o'-lanterns, and we do a mix of antique blow molds and some new ones from Target. So as you walk the yard, you will see we have this guy here. He's a great old blow mold, as this guy here is. New guy here, and these 3 new from Target and of all places CVS. So my recommendation, I told you we don't do scary, we only do vintage and happy Halloween. So if you look, Family Dollar, CVS, Target, Walgreens, they all have Halloween right now. So you just have to look through it and decide what's going to work with yours. So throughout this, we actually re-landscaped the front yard this year. So you'll see a lot more flowers this year, a lot more color. I keep promising y'all color when you come. So got a little bit of end of season color here. Lots of mums and lots of like pentas still blooming. So we probably have about another 6 weeks. So that really kind of sets off the pumpkins throughout. At the front door here, we just have piles and piles of piles, topped off by the Mackenzie Child's 3-tiered pumpkin stacks in the urns. Those are joined by antique blow molds in the middle section, and then lots of gourds and blow molds down at the bottom that light. And of course, as we walk through the landscape, really more of the same. You'll just see more of the jack-o'-lanterns in varying sizes and different periods of time. And then across the way, we have our handmade scarecrow. His name is John, and he's wearing clothes that we're can't fit into anymore. So he gets a lot of neighborhood kids coming to visit and tell John secrets, or giving them counts of how many jack-o'-lanterns they believe are in the front yard. So we love Halloween in this neighborhood. Like I said earlier, we get anywhere from 200 to 300 trick-or-treaters. We put up tons of live torches that night, so the house is really on fire. And then doesn't show in the daytime, but the full house is outlined, as are all the flower beds, with lights of Halloween color. And what that does for us, it gives us the jump on Christmas. So November 1st, all of this comes down and Christmas begins. And for this, really, it's just unscrewing lights and changing those to red, green, and white. So that's the outside.
Thanks for coming to visit us, Homeworthy. We wish you a happy Halloween.
Today, we're in Spring Branch, Texas, where Britney Blaine has transformed her home into a Halloween wonderland.
And I decided to use some of my old books to prop up on the mantle, maybe as like just old spell books that had just come alive, and they're open and they're wild, and one is just, the pages are ripped out and going straight up the ceiling. So I try to bring a little bit of magic and whimsy into my Halloween decor every year. I'm not necessarily a scary Halloween decor person. I like spooky, I like nostalgic, and I like a little bit of magic, right?
A fashion and lifestyle blogger with a love for storytelling, Britney grew up in a family where every season was brought to life through decoration. Now she carries those traditions forward, reimagining them with her own hauntingly beautiful twist.
I have been putting my Balsam Hill countdown calendar here. I just think this is so nostalgic and fun. It's a little wooden haunted house, and it counts down to the days to Halloween, and each different day it lights up, so it's really cute. And then I just have a little ghosty over there, and if you notice here, the bats are kind of coming off the moon, so I thought it would be fun to make it look as if the bats were kind of flying out of the house and then up the mirror in the ceiling there.
Her vision began with a story, a witch's house where every creak and shadow still whispered traces of old magic. From spell books that flutter across the walls to bats leaping from the windows of a haunted toy cottage, Britney's home comes alive with mystery, nostalgia, and a playful touch of mischief. To watch Britney's full episode ad-free, scan the QR code or click join below.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Britney Blaine. Welcome to my home in Texas. Come on in. I can't wait to show you around.
This fall, Homeworthy is all about the season's magic. We're stepping inside homes transformed by autumn's colors, where pumpkins aren't just decorations, they're statements.
We went to the auction in Pennsylvania and brought 4,000 pumpkins back, and I have them all on my stoop, and the neighbor's stoop, and the other's neighbor's stoop, and the other neighbor's stoop, and my backyard.
Where shadows and candlelight mingle to create a hint of spookiness, and every corner tells a story.
And so the theme of this was friends are coming over for a nice dinner. It clearly turned into a bit of a bloodbath. We have some candles and some transitional pieces throughout. There's like teeth and guts.
From extraordinary Halloween displays to cozy gatherings at home, we'll explore spaces that feel both enchanting and inviting.
For the tablescape today, I really wanted to capture all these deep sort of jewel tones for fall. These gorgeous reds and deep purples. They really are rich and inviting.
Plus, in the kitchen, we're celebrating the flavors of the season with dishes that bring warmth, comfort, and a touch of whimsy to the table.
Remember that fall isn't just about the foliage changing, but it's about the mood changing even in the house. And that has to do even with what you're cooking, right? So today we're going to make a really moist, fabulous apple cake.
So light the candles and enjoy our autumnal series, because nothing says home like a little spook and a lot of heart. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey there, my name is Britney Blaine. I am a seasonal home decorator on YouTube. Welcome to my home in the Texas Hill Country. So I grew up in a very small town in South Texas, about 3 hours south of here, a town of 5,000 people, very small. And during the different holidays and seasons, especially Halloween, everything was such a celebration. I think that's truly why I love decorating for the seasons and holidays so much. My mom and my grandmother truly just brought everything to life, every season, every holiday, even the small ones, even things like St. Patrick's Day and Valentine's Day. They just made them so fun and memorable. And they were not the only ones. There were so many ladies in our town that just opened their doors and opened their homes to us as children. And it just made everything so warm and inviting and special. And so that's always what I'm trying to capture in my home and share on my YouTube channel when I share my home, because I think there's so much value in those seasonal moments that we can all have. And I just know that every time I decorate, even for a season like Halloween, it's really just about reminiscing on all of those memories from my childhood that everyone around me made so special. Welcome in to the entryway of my home. In here, I really wanted to do a fun fortune teller, palm reading table. I love a collected space. So you'll notice throughout my home that I love to fill a table, especially for things like Halloween, because I want people to come in and see something that maybe they didn't see the first time they saw the space. So you'll see a lot of collected pieces, and I try to use old and new. I have some old books here. All of the old books in my home are actually from my grandfather's collection, so they're really special to me, and I always incorporate them into my space when I'm decorating. You'll see a lot more throughout my home here, but I have one of his old books, and then I have a few faux books that I've picked up over the years, and of course we have to have candy for the trick-or-treaters on the entry table. So we have a couple of cauldrons full of candy, and then just things that I felt like were odd and peculiar, like this toad, and of course a scorpion skeleton. If you don't know, I am in the Texas Hill Country. We have a lot of scorpions here, so I had to have a scorpion skeleton. And then you'll notice I have a lot of these pre-lit glitter black trees. This one's not lit up because it's on my table here, and I really like how it looks just matte black with the palm reading table. But I have a lot of these around my home, and I love to decorate my home with these. These are from Balsam Hill. They have 3 different sizes. This is a 4-foot. I believe there's 4-foot, 5-foot, and 6-foot all around my home, and I just like to scatter them throughout. It makes me feel like there's a bit of a haunted forest vibe going on in here, and I just really love it. I bring them out every single Halloween. And then over here, we've got our butler. He's a little lazy, but he's here. He's actually sitting in this chair that used to be my great aunt's. I love this chair. This is the original fabric on this chair. I just think it's a beautiful color. I love it, but it especially shines during fall and Halloween because it's such a great color in the house this time of year. I think it just really pops, and so I love to put it here. This is actually a pair. You'll see the other chair in the living room shortly, but this is just always right here in the entry with a skeleton every year. So then we have another Balsam Hill tree here, and then over here we've got our 2 little greeters. So I have 3 little dogs, and this is skeletons of 2 of them here at the door, which is usually where they are, right here waiting and ready to bark at any delivery driver that may dare darken their doorstep. If you'll follow me over here into the living room, I'll show you what I did in here for Halloween. So this is my favorite area, I would say, in this part of my home. I love this room. I come and sit in here every morning, just kind of have some quiet time. It's really just a feel-good, special, happy place for me. It has a lot of special things in it. It has this side table that is really special to me. This actually used to be an old record player that was my dad's, and he hollowed it out, and it has finally ended up with me. My parents had it for many, many years, and they just used it as a piece of furniture, and when they went to get rid of it, I said, no, I would love that table. So I've had it for quite a while, and I just really enjoy it. I think it really shines in this space. Right above it, I have my great aunt's vintage mirror, and that's also very special to me. So this is one of my favorite vignettes to decorate. I usually start with this every year. And lately, well, I say lately, last year and this year, I have been putting my Balsam Hill countdown calendar here. I just think this is so nostalgic and fun. It's a little wooden haunted house, and it counts down to the days to Halloween, and each different day it lights up. So it's really cute. And then I just have a little ghosty over there. And if you notice here, the bats are kind of coming off the moon. So I thought it would be fun to make it look as if the bats were kind of flying out of the house and then up the mirror in the ceiling there. And then I have another haunted tree. It really is my favorite space, especially when it's decorated for a different season or holiday. It just makes me so happy. And I feel like I can really capture the aesthetic that I want to each season and holiday in this space particularly, because I have the white furniture and I have the white walls and curtains, and so I can really just bring in that color and fill the space, and so it makes it really special. Over here I have my great grandmother's coffee table. This coffee table has been in my family a very long time. It may have even been my great-great-grandmother's. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask my mom. But the coffee table is also very special to me. And again, I love to fill a table, especially for the cozy holidays like fall and Halloween. And so this is a little more fall. I just decided to fill it with pumpkins. I've got another open book. This is actually the yearbook of poetry. It's a vintage book, and it's open to Leaves of Autumn, which I thought was appropriate. So we just have that. And you will notice throughout that I try to incorporate real pumpkins in with my faux. So I've got a couple of real baby pumpkins in there as well. And then for the pillows and throws in this space, I like to keep it very traditional. I love this pillow that I found at Home Goods. How cute is this? Is this not so just nostalgic Halloween? I love that one so much, but I really like to blend and mix the colors. I pull a lot from my rug. This is a Persian Hurricane antique rug, so very, very special rug. It's really beautiful. I change my rug out in this room a lot because I'm a seasonal decorator, so I like to change the colors with the season. But once fall rolls around, this is the rug that comes out, and I truly, truly love this rug, probably more than any that I own. It's very special. Okay, now I want to show you what I did on the fireplace this year because I'm really excited about it. So I like to theme my home each holiday and season. And for this year's theme, I wanted the house to look like an old witch's house that was maybe abandoned, but it's not because the magic is still there. And so that was the inspiration for the fireplace and also other areas in my home, but it really started with the fireplace. And so I started with this Grandin Road garland and wreath. I think this is so pretty. I love how it just hangs down and looks kind of dilapidated and old, but still elegant in a way, I think. And then I decided to use some of my old books to prop up on the mantle, maybe as like just old spell books that had just come alive and they're open and they're wild and the pages are ripped out and going straight up the ceiling. So I try to bring a little bit of magic and whimsy into my Halloween decor every year. I'm not necessarily a scary Halloween decor person. I like spooky, I like nostalgic, and I like a little bit of magic, right? You will notice I also have the raven here. So we had to add a portrait of Poe. Can't go a Halloween without Poe. And we've got some of the ravens around just to tie in that theme a bit. I think it goes really nicely. And then of course, because this is a witch's house, we've got her shoes down here, we've got her cauldron, and we also have her broom and her hat still hanging around the fireplace, even though she's supposedly long gone. So that's kind of the story and the idea around it. I just think it's really fun to craft these stories around home decor and just really enjoy it. I mean, it's your home. You need to bring things to life that you love in your home. I think it's so important for us to celebrate those little moments because if we don't, they'll be gone. So that's what I try to do. I just love to have fun with it, celebrate, and tell a little bit of a story as I decorate. We've got another guy hanging out on the sofa here. I don't know where he came from. He just showed up, but you know, he's here. He brought a pumpkin. That was very hospitable of him, so he can stay. And then I get asked about these lanterns all the time. This is probably one of the things I'm most asked about in my home, and unfortunately I found these at a local antique shop, but I absolutely love them. I usually use them here by my fireplace, but I've used them all over my home, and they're such a great piece in any holiday or season, but I think they really add something a little spooky and fun to the Halloween mantle, especially. And then over here, you'll see I have the partner to my aunt's chair that was in the entryway. Again, I think this color just looks so neat. I really love to do that traditional black on top of my white palette for Halloween with pops of orange, but I also love a good pop of green and some yellow, some warm tones in there too. So I think this chair complements really well. And then on this side table, I decided to just kind of carry through the idea of what was on the mantle, but make it a little more warm because this front room has a lot of orange and golden yellows and burgundies in here in this space, brown. So I just wanted to kind of marry the warmer tones in the garland and the book covers in with the just pure black and white mantle. So I tried to do that here. And I just have a couple of cloches. We've got some raven's feathers in one, and this is just like a creepy pumpkin. One thing I love about Halloween is that you can be as whimsical as you want to be. And so I like to just pop some random blackbirds around, because why not? And then over here, again with the spell books, I've got my old books here with some pages kind of coming out and flying up and away out of the books. And I just think this kind of finishes off the thought that's on the mantle. Halloween was a big to-do in our town. If you think about it, 5,000 people, everybody knows everybody. So when the kids get out and trick-or-treat, it is a big to-do. When I was younger, all of the boys and dads, okay, so this wasn't just young guys, it was guys and dads, they would have this huge water balloon fight every Halloween. And when I was really little, small, my mom would say, you know, once you're done trick-or-treating, come in so you don't get hit by a water balloon, because it was just something they all did and they had so much fun. And then as we got older, I remember my mom always made sugar cookies. She has the best sugar cookies on the planet. I know a lot of people say that about their moms, but I'm telling you, my mom has the best. And she would make them on Halloween, and people would come over, ring the doorbell, and ask for the cookies instead of candy. So she made a ton of cookies on Halloween. It was really special. And then once we got older, we would just sit on the front porch with the bowl of candy and the cookies and pass them out to everyone. And we had the sweetest neighbor down the street that made chili, and people would just go in and get a bowl of chili on Halloween. And the whole town really did that. So it's very cool, very special. Very Gilmore Girls. If you'll follow me, I will take you over to the kitchen, or the witch's kitchen, her apothecary. So in here, I like to keep my island pretty simple and clear, because anytime I do any cooking or baking, I usually prep over on that end, and I am a maximalist, so I deck out my back countertop. So I keep this one pretty clear. Of course, I've got some candy and some treats. I've got my great-grandmother's silver dish that I let tarnish. I actually really love a piece of tarnished silver. I think there's just something beautiful about it, but it is not polished, and I think that's perfect for Halloween. So I just put some traditional treats. Halloween is not Halloween without candy corn, so gotta have the candy corn right here. And then over here where the floating shelves are is really where I like to focus when I'm decorating this space, because it's so fun. You can do so much with these. And so I really try to let my imagination run a bit wild. This year, we're doing the witch's apothecary for the kitchen. So we've got her poison sign here. I've actually had this sign for so many years. I think this sign it's probably 17 years old. It's very old. I don't even remember where I got it, but I've had it, it's moved with me, and it's still in really great shape. So I use it above my stove just about every year. And then on the shelves, I just kind of wanted to put things that I thought you would find in a witch's kitchen. So I found these really great bottles. This was a set from Grandin Road, and I just put fun things in them, like this full moon extract. I decided to put glitter in, and then I've got some spiders and flies in the spider's poison. I still need to figure out what to put in the witch's brew. I don't know, what should I put in there? And then down here, I almost took these out because they were so creepy, but I've got some worms, you know, because witches probably have worms in their kitchen, and then a jar of spiders. And then up top on this side, we've got some just skeletons, you know, because she's got to have her skeletons. Also up there as well, we've got some tiny skulls and some snakes in a jar. And then I've got a few dishes. I actually found these at HomeGoods. I thought they were such a good find this year. They're really pretty. They remind me of Williams-Sonoma, so really love those. And then we've got our bat friend hanging out here. When I was checking out at the store, the lady asked me what his name was going to be. She said she names all of her Halloween skeletons, and I thought, man, I've got to start doing that. So I don't know what his name should be. We've got to name this guy. So I decided to drape around the ceiling in here and all of the shelves with this cheesecloth, because I wanted it to kind of look like this house has been boarded up and there's just been fabric over everything for years and years, and it's just completely worn. But there's also an element of magic going on, right? Because you've got all of these things that a witch would have in her kitchen, and the candles are burning. And so I thought that would be kind of fun, but that's where I got that idea. So now that you've seen the kitchen, let me show you where we eat once we've cooked all the food. So I really love how my dining room is set up because I have this open concept formal dining, and it sits right outside my breakfast area. So when I entertain, I can really enjoy all of my company because we sit around this table and that table, and it's just such a great celebration. So this has been a really nice space for entertaining. I wanted to keep both tablescapes pretty simple for Halloween, so I just did these 2 trees to kind of mirror all the other trees in the house, and then went with some black cheesecloth and just kind of incorporated in some of my favorite pumpkins. I love these pumpkins with the gold detail, the gold moths, so I think they're really cool. And then I actually just added some greenery to it that just gave it a little bit more depth and left it like that. And if I entertain, I can always add some candlesticks and some candles. I think would be really nice. And then in here is the breakfast area, but honestly, this is where I eat the most. This is where I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And often when people come over, this is where we find ourselves, especially if it's just a couple of friends. So I really love decorating this space. Again, I kept it pretty simple. So I just used one of my great-grandmother's crystal dishes. I actually have a lot of her crystal collection over here. A lot of these pieces are hers, and they sit in an antique bookcase that was my grandfather's. So this is a very special little area of my home that it's tucked away, but I really, really enjoy it. And I love to pull these pieces out and use them around my home, especially when I'm entertaining. So they're very special to me. So aside from the crystal dish, I decided to put this giant skull here. You'll notice that I had one in the fireplace earlier as well. So it's almost like the witch burned the giant and then served his skull up. I don't know. He was probably not a nice guy. You know what I mean? He probably deserved it. Anyway, so I have that here. And then, of course, you got to keep it classy with the fake black roses, you know. Back on this wall, I actually decided when I moved in the house that I wanted frames going all the way up, and it just so happened that when I put these here, it was around the holiday season, and I hadn't gotten any family photos printed yet, and I thought, you know what would be fun? To put old Hollywood movie stills here for Christmas, and I did that, and I loved it so much that as the seasons came around, I just decided to change the prints with the seasons, and so that's what I do now. I just buy them on Etsy from small businesses and print them on my home printer. These are Amazon frames, so it is inexpensive, but I really love how they look. And just changing these out on this white wall for the different seasons, holidays like Halloween, can really change the feel in this space. So I really like that a lot. And then I do have the window in here flanked by 2 small side tables that I like to decorate. Just put a few things out that I'm gonna use while I'm entertaining during the season. I just got this really cute picture yesterday at Home Goods. I really love it. It has a haunted house on it. And then on this side, I just have my Halloween dishes under there. And again, a few more serving pieces so that I'm ready to go when people come over to eat dinner this season. On the back window here, I actually just decided to mirror what I had going on in the kitchen. So I used the same cheesecloth and then the same wreath to kind of finish out the look, because as you walk through the home from the kitchen into this area, I think it's a nice moment to kind of mirror that and have a little bit of symmetry there. I've always loved home decor and interior design, but for me, growing up, I loved being able to change the house with the seasons. I think I got it from my mother and grandmother. My grandmother is 93, she'll be 93 this year, and so she doesn't go as crazy for Christmas as she used to, but my grandmother used to do a different theme in her home at Christmas every single year. I mean, it was different every single year. We never knew what it was going to be growing up, and it was really, really fun and special. And I just learned very young that the decor that we put out in our home and the way we decorate our home is really the backdrop for our lives and our memories. And so I just think that's one reason I fell in love with it, because I have so many fond memories around the seasons and holidays and just around the different pieces that were in my home growing up. And I like to continue that in my home now. So I've had a blog for many, many years, just as a pastime for fun, sharing things, mostly seasonal, that I loved out there. And I never really thought about it turning into a career for me. I've been in the real estate industry since I was about 18 years old, so a very long time. And real estate has always just been the career path that I've taken. And of course, in that, I've done a lot of investing over the years, and in investing comes design and things like that. And so it's always been a natural fit because I really love the process of renovating, designing, and decorating, obviously decorating. So when I decided to start a YouTube channel, it just seemed like such a natural flow, a great way to express my creativity, a great way to share the seasons with many, many more people, not just my family and friends, but with others out there that love to celebrate the seasons the way that I did. I think that's why I love to share so much on YouTube, and I love that it has become a part of my career and something that I can do for a living. I just think it's probably the coolest job ever. If you told 10-year-old me this is what I would be doing for a living, I would not believe you, but I would be very, very excited because this is a very cool job. Since this is Halloween, I've got to show you something pretty spooky that I have in my backyard. Come on. So welcome to the cemetery right next to my backyard. So this is actually one of the founding family's private cemeteries. It's right behind my property here. And so it's just kind of a neat place, I think. A little spooky, but also serene and pretty cool. So wanted to share with you guys. When we first purchased the home and you look at the survey, we saw a little cemetery spot, and I thought that was strange because there was a ranch behind our house, but turns out there was actually a cemetery here. This is some of the original land that was settled in the area. So this is one of the original family's private cemeteries. So it's pretty cool. I was shocked to see how close it was, that it was essentially right on my property line here. So a little spooky, not gonna lie, a little spooky, but so far, none of the ghosts have bothered me. They come to visit every now and again, but they don't bother me. Okay, now I want to show you my bedroom. My bedroom is fall. I can't do spooky in here. I don't think I'd be able to sleep in here, but I do love a cozy fall moment in the bedroom. I love to just feel completely just surrounded by the season. So that's what I tried to do in this space, and I really love how it turned out. I decided to do some beautiful Balsam Hill garland around my bed frame, and then I mirrored the same garland over here in front of the television. So you've got a nice balance of that beautiful and very vibrant garland. I keep my bedroom pretty neutral as well so that I can incorporate the different colors of the seasons in here. So at Christmas I do a traditional red and green. Sometimes I do a winter white palette in here, but I just love having the option of changing the color with the seasons, even in my bedroom. So for my fall bedding this year, I found everything that I have in my bed right now at Quince. They really had some of the most beautiful pieces for fall and exactly what I was looking for. I really wanted cozy, I wanted traditional colors. I love this terracotta. I got it in this beautiful throw, and then also these linen sheets. These sheets are amazing. I love linen sheets all year round, but especially in the fall. There's just something about cozying up and just getting into a linen bed in the fall that just feels like the season to me. I decided to pair the terracotta sheets with this neutral gingham. I think it turned out really well. I like to layer my neutrals in with the seasonal colors. I think that it just really gives that extra layer of texture, especially when you're building out your bedding. I think that's a great way to go about it. So I also just have a green velvet throw pillow here. This is from Home Goods, I believe, and I think the pumpkins are too. Gotta have your pumpkin pillows. And then this seating area is one of my favorite spots in my bedroom because you can see out into the backyard Buddy loves to sit here with me as I have my coffee, and it's just a great place to unwind. So I like to decorate it. I decided to bring in this autumn tree. I have the same tree on the back patio, but I really just wanted a pop of color in this corner, and I found this tree on Amazon in a set of 2, and I've bought a lot of trees on Amazon over the years, and this is the tree I have been most impressed with. It was so easy to put together, and it actually came with string lights optional, so not already on, which I liked, and it came with moss. Like, how thoughtful is that? I don't know. Highly recommend this autumn tree. The furniture that I have in here is mostly from front gate. The nightstands are front gate, and the bed frame is front gate. I really love this bed frame. I love that it is an open canopy and just very cozy. I think it goes great with the nightstands. I love the marble top on these. And then I've had this armoire for many, many years. I believe it's originally from Horchow. It has moved with me many times. I love this thing. I'm not gonna show you because it's a little messy, but I actually have a little coffee and treat bar in here. My favorite space in my home, if I had to choose, is very hard, and it actually just recently changed because I just made over my media room. I am so excited about that space. It is just the media room of my dreams. And so currently that's my favorite space. But when it comes to decorating, I always start up in my front room. I say front room, I have a very open concept living area, but I kind of have it sectioned into 2 spaces. I have a little bit more of a formal sitting up front, and then I have the fireplace and just kind of casual seating where the dogs lounge, where we hang out in the middle around the fireplace. And I love to decorate the front living room first, because a lot of the pieces in this room that are just part of my canvas, my palette, are really special to me. I have a lot of family heirlooms in this space and things that just mean a lot to me. So I love to decorate those the most. That's always where I start. Anyway, I have another room that I'm so excited to show you. It's actually the room I'm looking forward to showing you the most in my house because I just made over this space, and it is my theater room. So come on and let me show it to you. Welcome to my home theater room. This is basically a brand new room for me in this house. I just made this over. It was originally just a blank white space with a small TV, and I decided to turn it into a real home theater room. So I'm really loving this space. I'm so happy to share it with you today. This is actually the only space in my home that's painted currently. This is the one room I finally decided to paint a color because the rest of the house is white, which I usually keep that way for the different seasons and holidays and decorating, things like that. But I went with this really deep green in here. This is Thermal by Behr. So a simple color, easy to get if you were thinking about doing something like this. But I really love how it turned out. I did change it up a bit for Halloween. I had some old Hollywood stills in these frames, and I decided to go with some vintage horror film stills, some of the classics that we all know and love, like Bride of Frankenstein. I think I even have Alfred Hitchcock over there. So really, really fun space, I think, to add a little bit of seasonal decor to. I've got some jack-o'-lanterns down here around the media console. And my media system is actually from AWOL. This is an ultra short throw projector and a 132-inch screen, just in case you're curious. And I have been loving it. I've never had anything like this, and it's just been such an amazing viewing experience. I have not watched any scary movies. I don't really watch a lot of scary movies, but I will be watching Hocus Pocus, as you know, and I cannot wait to watch it on this screen this year. So excited for that. One of my favorite things in this room are the sconces. These are alabaster sconces. I found these on Wayfair, and they're dimmable. I just think they really add something to this space. When I was thinking about how I wanted this room, I was really thinking old Hollywood. And so I wanted to find some sconces that really made it feel like an old Hollywood movie theater. And I think I did. I really love these. You will notice all the pups are in here. This is their absolute favorite place to lounge. This is their favorite sofa. They really love to just sprawl out and hang out in here all day. They are definitely couch potatoes. And then over here, this is Minky. And we've got all of these velvet pumpkins that she likes to hang out by. So super cozy, right, Minky? But yeah, this is a collection of velvet pumpkins that I started almost 20 years ago. Some of these pumpkins are that old, but I love that they keep bringing velvet pumpkins back each fall. So as long as they keep bringing them back, I'm gonna keep collecting them. And then the coolest part of this room is probably the little mini concession stand. I decided to remove the door on this closet and turn it into a little movie concession. So I think it's really fun. I had my electrician put an outlet in here so that I could put a microwave in here so I could have popcorn. So I've got a little popcorn station down below. I found this great retro microwave on Wayfair. I just thought that was too cute, perfect for the movie room. And then of course, you've got to have your movie candy. I plan to entertain a lot, especially during the holiday season. I would love to have movie night once a week with my family and friends. So I'm stocked up and ready for everybody to come over. I think I got one of everything at the store when it comes to movie candy, but I just love to have options for everyone, and I want people to have a good time when they come over. So we've got lots of candy, some candy above that, and then of course some fall decor up there just to finish it out. Home means to me family, a place of gathering, a place where memories are made, the place you go when you are just tired of the world and you want to rest. Home for me has always been the place where I have my most fond memories, and I hope that when people come into my home, that's how they feel. They feel warm, invited, and they make really good memories here. Homeworthy, it was so fun showing you around my home in Texas, but you gotta go now, so bye!
Today we're celebrating Halloween on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, where content creator and photographer Christy Hemrick has transformed her brownstone stoop into a moody cinematic forest filled with skulls and mystery. When Christy first moved into her home, she couldn't stand the scaffolding covering her brownstone, so she decided to make it beautiful, draping it in wisteria and other flowers. The simple act brightened her block and captured her neighbors' hearts. Inspired by their response, Christy kept creating, season after season, each stoop more imaginative than the last.
This stoop started as a passion project, and I've actually been blown away by the response of the community, but also certain companies have asked if I'll decorate with their products like Lego, which I still can't believe they even know that our tiny corner of Manhattan exists.
Today, she's known for turning her home into one of New York City's most magical stages. What began as an effort to disguise an eyesore has blossomed into a beloved neighborhood landmark that draws locals, tourists, preschool classes, and even proposals.
The thing that surprises me most about the stoop, and it still surprises me every day, like I will not ever get used to it, is coming home and seeing people that leave letters, or they stitch the stoop, or they leave presents from Cambodia, Australia. They left Tim Tams last week, and it's touched a lot of people, and we're just touched that it means so much to us that people like it, because we love it.
This Halloween, her stoop is pure enchantment. In a city built for hustle, Christy dares to pause. She's the curator of wonder on the Upper East Side, reminding us that home is as much about place as it is about people, and that a little creativity can transform an entire street. To watch Christy's full episode ad-free, scan the QR code or click join below.
Hi Homeworthy, my name's Christy Hemrick. Welcome to my house on the Upper East Side. Before we go inside, I'd love to show you my Halloween stoop.
This fall, Homeworthy is all about the season's magic. We're stepping inside homes transformed by autumn's colors, where pumpkins aren't just decorations, they're statements.
We went to the auction in Pennsylvania and brought 4,000 pumpkins back, and I have them all on my stoop, and the neighbor's stoop, and the other's neighbor's stoop, and the other neighbor's stoop, and my backyard.
where shadows and candlelight mingle to create a hint of spookiness, and every corner tells a story.
And so the theme of this was friends are coming over for a nice dinner. It clearly turned into a bit of a bloodbath. We have some candles and some transitional pieces throughout. There's like teeth and guts.
From extraordinary Halloween displays to cozy gatherings at home, we'll explore spaces that feel both enchanting and inviting.
For the Tablescape today, I really wanted to capture all these deep sort of jewel tones for fall. These gorgeous reds and deep purples. They really are rich and inviting.
Plus, in the kitchen, we're celebrating the flavors of the season with dishes that bring warmth, comfort, and a touch of whimsy to the table.
Remember that fall isn't just about the foliage changing, but it's about the mood changing even in the house. And that has to do even with what you're cooking, right? So today we're going to make a really moist, fabulous apple cake.
So light the candles and enjoy our autumnal series, because nothing says home like a little spook and a lot of heart. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
So this is our spooky stoop. I start planning our stoops months in advance. I knew closer to Halloween, I wanted to do a black theme, spooky, and I wanted really large skeletons. I found these, they're amazing. They actually light up. So when the sun goes down, they will be lit. And I want it to be kind of dark. So we always line our railing with leaves. And then we changed, our wisteria is covered with like black leaves, but they actually light up. It's almost like a Day of the Dead kind of theme with the red roses. Right now it's tombstones, but as it gets closer, skulls are gonna appear. One of my favorite things ever are these haunted houses. I've had these for 3 years. They're the best. And so the candles inside, when it's dark out, it just looks like a real haunted house. And something I got this year that I absolutely love are these rattan haunted houses. They're so cool. I love them. And like I said, they last in all weather. Like, you would think they would get destroyed in the rain, and they have not. So I love that for us, because I'll probably have them for years and years. And we just we keep everything. Like our pumpkin pile over here is all of our extra pumpkins. And we will move our haunted houses over as different things happen, but reuse everything. So we started the season with a fall stoop, and now we have the spooky stoop. And something we do with our extra pumpkins is we've kind of decorated our trash area and built a stage, and we decorate it as well. So as Halloween appears, more and more haunted houses will appear. When Christmas comes, we have a gingerbread village over here. We might have reindeer this year. You'll have to wait and see. But we try to use all aspects, and obviously trash is kind of ugly, so we made it pretty. Okay, so some of my favorite elements of the spooky stoop. Everything lights up, which is really cool. So these books of potions and different spells, they light up. It looks amazing. Another great thing are these pumpkins. They look so real. And as you can see, these little holes, those are on purpose because we put hooks in them for our first fall design. And our arch was covered in different pumpkins. And yeah, so they're kind of expensive, I'm not gonna lie, but we've had them for 3 or 4 years now, and we've used them in all different kinds of designs, in the arch, on here, and they still look great. So worth the price, worth the investment, get nice things that you can reuse for years and years, and it's worth it. One question I get asked often is how long it takes me to do a stoop. We've been doing this for years, so a lot of planning kind of goes in on the back end, like buying and sourcing things. But like I said, I really do reuse almost everything that I have. So I think of that first. And then when we have to install, it's actually not that bad, like maybe 4 hours. If we're redoing the stoop completely, then maybe a few more hours than that, because we're organizing everything. We take everything down, we clean it, we store it so that we can use it the following year. So Christmas will be a big one because we're literally breaking it down. The morning after our giant Halloween party, we break it down and put up holiday because it just makes me happy, so that's what we do. But yeah, it takes about a day. Planning starts weeks in advance. So how do I come up with my stoop ideas? I think one thing is I think of one thing, right? Like I knew this year I wanted giant skulls. So that was kind of my theme. And then what would look great with giant skulls? Black leaves, lights, haunted houses, but I wanted there to be kind of a consistent theme. And so skulls it is. And I source them, and once I find what I can use, I have to think of what will make the arch stand out. That's usually like the showstopper. So these were too heavy, sadly, to go in the arch. We will have skulls later, but then we do tombstones and we do flowers. With the fall stoop, it's like I wanted cinnamon spice or pumpkin spice is kind of the theme I went for. So it was literally hundreds of pumpkins, candles, baskets, and then the stoop or the arch just looked like all different kinds of pumpkins. And that was kind of the theme I went for. So we went from pumpkin spice to an apple orchard, because you got to pick apples in the fall, to a spooky stoop. This arch is my pride and joy. I love it so much. It's just kind of something that frames our house, and it frames the stoop perfectly. So what I try to do is I try to incorporate this and make this the star of the show. I knew I wanted it to be spooky, so I did gravestones, I did black, and I kind of try to tie the same color scheme all the way down. We don't use this door to enter our house. We have a different entrance, so we can cover the stairs completely and not have to worry about it. The stoop makes us happy, so that's what we do. But yeah, the arch is wisteria, and it has been attached to our house for 3 years now, going strong. My favorite thing in the world are zip ties. When it comes to decor, it is zip ties, zip ties, and zip ties. I basically find branches that I like, I piece them together. If I get bouquets of flowers, I mean, this is rare that I just leave it, but I will rip them apart, mix them with other flowers, zip tie them together, and kind of make some zip tie magic. That's really what I do. So this stoop started as a passion project, and I've actually been blown away by the response of the community, but also certain companies have asked if I'll decorate with their products, like Lego, which I still can't believe they even know that our tiny corner of Manhattan exists. If I had a dream brand to work with, you're gonna laugh, but it would be Coca-Cola, because I love Diet Coke and Coke Zero. I run on Diet Coke. So if Coca-Cola wanted me to do one of their, their infamous like Christmas commercials, can we do an infamous Coca-Cola New York City stoop? That would be my dream, my absolute dream. That was a challenge, but we did it, and it's led to so many other things being attached to wisteria. And it kind of opened the door for endless possibilities on the stoop, which is amazing. If you're thinking about the stoop and of like things breaking, I am a mom of 4, so I am very comfortable with chaos, and I'm also very understanding. I've given up control on most aspects of my life. So we have a ton of people that visit the stoop, and we have sometimes little fingers and things crash, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, as long as people are having fun at the stoop, if something breaks, it's fine. So yeah, it kind of is what it is. As long as people are happy and I'm happy and I like it, we really don't care. Yesterday a class came for class pictures, and they wrote me the sweetest note because a skeleton broke and a book broke, and I was like, it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it, because we're gonna change it up in a few weeks anyway. The thing that surprises me most about the stoop, and it still surprises me every day, like I will not ever get used to it, is coming home and seeing people that leave letters, or they stitch the stoop, or they leave presents from Cambodia, Australia. They left Tim Tams last week, and it's touched a lot of people, and we're just touched that it means so much to us that people like it, because we love it. When I first moved to New York, I moved here from Dubai, and I lived in a studio apartment, and I used to walk by brownstones, and I would always say to myself, if I had a brownstone, I would do this, and oh my gosh, and it was just a dream, because I lived in the tiniest apartment in Chelsea, and I never knew that I would actually have a brownstone, but I was like, if I did, I was gonna do this, and here we are. And so I knew I would always decorate, especially after seeing Halloween on the Upper East Side. I knew I would take part in that. But I think one thing that happened was scaffolding. The building next to us had to do some work, and the way it was they had to put scaffolding over our house as well, which they didn't notify us. We were actually leaving our house, and we just heard somebody drilling into our house, and we're like, oh, you're covering our house in scaffolding. So it was very ugly from the street, and I asked my husband, do you think it'd be okay if I put up a flower garland, like built something over our door? That way when people are walking through this mile-long scaffolding, there's at least like a bright, happy spot. And to my surprise, he was like, yes. So I covered our front door in wisteria branches and pink flowers, and it was very Barbie-core kind of. And I really thought our neighbors would be very upset about it. Not upset, just kind of be like, what is she doing? And we actually got the opposite response. They loved it. So I kept going. Then summer came, so I put up lemons, and then fall came, and we just kept going, and now we're here. I wanted to decorate for the holidays, and then New York gave us scaffolding, and I decided to make our house a little bit prettier on the outside. I took inspiration from different restaurants around the city, and I'm sure they do it in all different kinds of cities. I'll use an example. Maman has like a beautiful floral display outside, and I was like, how do they do that? And I found out that it is wisteria, and it's actually living wisteria. So you get real, wisteria branches are really, really sturdy. We actually have a restaurant down the street, Pill, one of my favorites. They do the same thing. We had to drill them into our house and anchor them into the brick, but that same wisteria branch, we put it up 3 years ago. It's still going strong. We add to it because obviously when we started, we just had like a upside down L, and now we put a lot more decor up. So we've kind of reinforced it a little bit, but yeah, it's all wisteria, and then it just changes with the seasons, and we kind of add it. And thank you, New York Flower Market, because they have a great stock of wisteria. Welcome to the parlor room. We actually have 3 living rooms in this house, and so this is our more formal living room. We use it for socializing. When we have our massive Halloween party, we actually move all the furniture out. There's a bartender. This is our party room, but this is our more adult entertaining room. This is where we have our friends over. We have like great conversations, and I absolutely love this room. It turned out just the way I wanted, so it makes me really happy. This piece is actually from Pottery Barn. Love Pottery Barn. And it has just some special stuff in here. For example, we do lots of different stoops, and we have an amazing follower that hand stitched these for us. She's actually hoops and needles, and she did this one from the summer, and she did another one from the summer, and it's just the sweetest gift. We came home and found these on our stoop, and it means so much to us. My husband is an avid golfer, so for some of our entertaining, we have a golf set for him. We also do a ton of entertaining here, so this is just some of our collection when we're entertaining. About our Halloween party, it's probably our favorite party of the year. We actually get thousands of trick-or-treaters. I think last year my husband bought 12,000 pieces of candy, and we were out by 7 o'clock. So this year we're gonna get 15,000 pieces of candy. And the fun part is everyone comes over, we have a bartender, it's really fun, but we also switch out giving out candy because I think that's the most fun part of it. We have a lot of friends that are from Australia and different parts of the world, and it kind of feels like a movie scene here because you have so many trick-or-treaters. So very excited about it this year. One of my favorite finds for this room is actually our mantelpiece. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace can be a gold mine. We do have a working fireplace behind here, but eventually when we do our renovation, we'll get all that. But for now, beautiful candles from Pottery Barn. I just kind of love how it makes the room feel really romantic and warm. And we have our family pictures on top here, like that was from our wedding. And then our 4 kids, and it's just like lots of special moments. Then the mirrors are also Facebook Marketplace finds, which I love that for us. And all the furniture in here is actually from Pottery Barn. Like I said, I love Pottery Barn. They're the best. So, and then these pillows kind of goes on theme from the girls' room. They're also from Jaipur. So bringing a little bit of my travel home, and I love that. And then we also have a ton of storage. So behind these beautiful closets are a lot of our Halloween decor. I will not show you because it is not as organized as this room, but we switch things out on the stoop seasonally, and we have a ton of decor. Our basement is actually all decor, which is fun. I kind of like it that way. My husband and I, we'd been married and we had a son, and we knew we wanted to stay in New York City. This was during COVID, and I think we were one of the couples that were like, we are gonna make our home here in New York. So we started looking at apartments. We looked at brownstones specifically so that we could grow our family. And this is a real true story. We had an offer in on another home. It fell through last minute. I was 9 months pregnant and panicking. And David went out, he saw this house. I'd never seen it. He looked across the street. There was a salon called Christy's Salon, spelled the way I spell my name. and he called me and he goes, do you trust me? I'm gonna put in an offer. So he put in an offer before I ever saw this house, and it worked out great. He did really know me, and I am obsessed with our house, and I hope this is our forever home. And we specifically wanted the Upper East Side because we do have family in New York, and we wanted to be in a circle that we could have our kids walk down the street and be close to our family. So that was something when we were talking to people, we had a very small bubble. We want to live on the Upper East Side between this block and that block. And I mean, he found it. We love it. A really cool thing about our house is we have air rights. So if one day we decide to build up, we can do that, which is amazing. But yeah, I think the coolest part about not just this house is the neighborhood. Like I said, we didn't know much, right? We lived 15 blocks away, but we didn't know much about this street. We found it, he put an offer in the day of, and we've met all of our best friends on this street. It's fate, right? Like my favorite grocery store is down the block, Butterfield. Knightley's is on the corner, Pill is on the corner. We're gonna get an Italy soon. So yeah, I feel like we hit the jackpot. Okay, so one, I would say, decor challenge with our house. We do have 5 floors, so we have tons of space, but our house is thin. And so it's kind of thinking about, and there's 6 of us, so it's thinking about how to put furniture in a room that it doesn't overpower the room, but you can also, everybody can have a seat. And so this room we really use for entertaining, like I said. It's where our Christmas tree goes, and we like to have a lot of people over. So I wanted seating options, but I wanted them to be movable. For example, this coffee table, it can easily slide underneath. These chairs swivel. These can usually go against the wall. So it's just kind of like New York living. You have to find out how you can fit everything in one place. But I do love it. And one thing I love the most is probably the candles. They're not real. They're from Pottery Barn. They're the best. They're the same ones I put on the stoop, but they flicker and they make the crackle noise, and it's just so much fun. And another way to kind of tie in the stoop to the room is through florals. So right now it's fall florals outside. It's a little bit spooky, so we kind of bring those inside. We elevate it a little bit with nicer pumpkins and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of how we do it. So I am from Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, a place called Colleyville. And I grew up with 2 parents that went all out for the holidays. I'm talking, we had everything. So trees, the whole 9 yards. So I was definitely from that kind of a family. My mom made every holiday a really big deal. We had decor for every single holiday, inside the house, outside the house, different pajamas. And so obviously that rubbed off a little bit on me when I have my own family and then when I got my own house. So I brought a little bit of that magic that I think I learned from my mother to the Upper East Side. And it just makes you happy, right? It gives you something to look forward to. I always knew I wanted to work abroad. So when I graduated college, I got a one-way ticket to Vietnam. I traveled Asia for 4 months and I ended up in Dubai, and my parents were like, okay, if you can find a job in a week, you can stay for a year. And I stayed for 4.5 years, and I worked in photo production, and that's probably how, I mean, I've always loved photography, so I would do big shoots for all kinds of different brands. It was amazing. I got to travel all over the MENA region, and then after 4.5 years, I wanted to be closer to home. And my dad is amazing, and he was like, I think you would be a great fit for New York City. I want you to keep fulfilling your dreams. There's not much photo production here in Dallas, so try New York. And here I am. And then I met my husband, and we decided that we wanted New York to be the place that we raise our kids, and we love it here. And yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here. I think my favorite time to decorate, which might sound crazy, but when the Christmas lights come down in New York City, it's kind of sad because it's cold and there's really nothing to look forward to. So that's when I decided to do Valentine's Day. And so I literally couldn't find any Valentine's decor, so we made it ourselves out of foam board, and we made conversation hearts, and we made them cute and witty and like text me, love ya, all that kind of stuff. And everybody kind of loved it. It's just, I like decorating when there's, to give myself something to look forward to, and the neighborhood. Yeah. My husband and I got married in Ravello because that's the first place that I told him I love him back. So I convinced him it would be cheap to get married there. So then we did a lemon stoop. So that was awesome. It kind of looked like, it was Mackenzie Childs blue check and lemons, and it reminded me of Ravello. So that one was special. I think Halloween is always special because it just makes so many kids happy, and it makes us happy, and our kids are so excited about it. I think Lego was crazy. I'm not a great Lego builder, I realized, and they're actually really hard to build. Thank you to my husband and my 5-year-old because they stuck with it when I was like, I can't do this. But Lego was amazing. We get a lot of women and kids that love our stoop. I've never seen men stop their cars and get out of their car to come take photos of a stoop like I did with Lego. Like, we had taxi drivers stop, come out, get selfies. We had police officers stop, come out and admire it. And I thought that was really cool. I think it was just cool to see how many different people it brought. But I don't know, I think we really push ourselves. And now it's kind of been a cool, fun marriage project because my husband's really in on it and he actually really enjoys it. I think our first fall stoop was one of his favorites. And it's always kind of like us talking at dinner once the kids are asleep on how we can do it better. And I just never thought he would find as much joy or my kids would find as much joy as I find in it. But it's really become like a family affair. My son the other day was with a babysitter, and when we came home from a date, he had made pumpkin and ghost confetti, cut them all out because he thought that would be a good addition. And it's just kind of cute to see how like his 5-year-old mind loves and how proud he is of the stoop. So yeah, I love them all. Sorry. So I wanted this room to look elevated, and I actually love color drenching. If you see me on social media, I just love color. So ceiling, everything is drenched. It is Sulking Room Pink from Farrow & Ball, and I think it looks perfect in this room. My sons call it the purple room. So, and then this is our little, I don't know, all of our little treasures. We love music, so we have a record player, some books with nice little cards and notes inside. We get a lot of notes from people that travel from all over the world, which is still like an honor to us. They slide them through our mail slot and we keep all of them because we just think it's the sweetest. And then my sons, and yeah, just little treasures. When we decided to go with a darker color in the room, we knew we needed a bright light. I love this light. It's from Pottery Barn. It's just so pretty, and sometimes we don't get that much light in this room. It just depends. Obviously, when winter comes, it gets darker. So we have our beautiful bright light. It's like our shining star. But I kind of think it brings the whole room together. It's something that you can look at. It's just beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Welcome to the twins room. It's probably my favorite room in the house. I have it pink and green because I wanted it to be something that they could really grow into, and I love it. This armoire I always get compliments on, and fun fact, it is actually IKEA. I just redid the handles and painted it. The handles are from Anthropology. And then these are all just like fun little details. Everything is ribbons and bows and gold, and I love it. These are really special dresses that we got, and I love this little bow detail. It helps my husband if I put their outfits out, so I'll usually hang what they're gonna wear, and then he has to dress them cute. So I love that. And then we have the girls' favorite books. They take ballet class across the street, so they are obsessed with their little jewelry box. They don't have any jewelry as of yet, but I'm sure that won't be a problem. And then the wallpaper is from Anthropology. So these are my twins' beds. It was probably the best decision I made because they go from bassinet to crib to bed. It really grows with them. And my little ladies are very independent, so we switched to toddler beds very soon, sooner than we did with the boys, but I think they love it. And they have a really great view of our backyard, which I think they love. And we're a big Halloween family. We do a Halloween party every year. We get thousands upon thousands of trick-or-treaters, which makes it so fun for us. So we start every night, the girls sit in their beds, and then we do story time. David and I sit here and we read to them, and this month is October, so it's all about Halloween books. So we've got spooky skeletons, little ghosts, pumpkin love. That's kind of what we've been reading this month, and they're very excited to be astronauts this year. Last year they were aliens, so we're kind of staying on theme, and the year before that they were safari animals. David and I were on safari, and our 4 children were the different animals that we saw on safari. So that was really fun too. And then this is our little shelf of little treasures. My girls are very girly. They're obsessed with their dollies and their stuffies. And then these are just some like really special pictures that we've taken. I love picture frames and showing my kids pictures and special moments, so I switch them out all the time. And because my girls are so obsessed with dolls, we got them their first dollhouse, which they absolutely love. And one benefit of having twins is when they wake up early in the morning, they play with each other silently, and they are at this dollhouse for hours, letting David and I sleep. So we cherish this dollhouse. It's amazing for us. This is actually secret storage. The seat lifts up because I blew out one of our closets, which I don't know if it was the best idea because we have twin girls, but I think it's fun. And I love that they can sit in here, read together, play. It's just a fun little cozy place and we love it. Their brothers are obsessed with this nook. They always do bedtime. The brothers like to bring the girls up for bedtime and sit here and talk to them until they fall asleep, which is like the sweetest thing. And yeah, all my kids are pretty young, so they're not readers yet, but they love to pretend to read. And yeah, I also love that we did something different with the wallpaper, and I think it turned out really well. Our house is a brownstone on the Upper East Side, and it was built in the 1860s. So you're in this room and you're like, wow, this ceiling is really low. And it is really low because they had it slanting down so that the snow would fall off and there wouldn't be weight of snow. So that is why eventually we will do a renovation and build up. But until then, I love this little cozy room. So what does home mean to me? Home means a safe space. It means family. It means a place that you can unwind and really be yourself. I love this room. It's a beautiful room. I love our girls' room. It's another really beautiful room. We have 5 floors in this house, and we decided not to do a renovation for a few years because we had 4 kids in 3 years. And if you go through our house, it is very lived in, but it's also really happy. We have a 3-year-old that just decided to be Picasso in our other family room. So he's got scribbles all over the walls. And our 5-year-old has put his artwork all down the different hallways. And I love that. I love that you can kind of walk in our house and know who we are by what our kids do, or the scratches, the scribbles. And one day it might all look like this, but for now it doesn't. And it just kind of makes me happy. Homeworthy, it was so nice showing you around my home on the Upper East Side, but I have to get ready for Halloween, so I have to wish you adieu. Toodaloo!
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.